Chapter 1319. Why aren't you using this time to recover your stamina? What are you doing sitting there like an idiot? Xiao Yazi scolded Lin Yi angrily. Lin Yi froze. Xiao Yazi's words woke him up from his sadness. Yes, there was hope as long as he was alive. He didn't know if Xiao Xiao was dead or alive, but that didn't mean there was no hope. After his body recovered, he could think of a way to save Xiao Xiao. As long as Xiao Xiao wasn't dead by the time he woke up, then there was still a chance. With that thought, Lin Yi said to Xiao Yazi seriously, "Jiao Lao, thank you. That sentence of yours was like a wake-up call. Calm me down. Don't worry, I'll try my best to recover." "Okay, as long as you can think it through," Xiao Yazi nodded. Lin Yi closed his eyes and sat cross-legged, channeling the art of dragon taking, making his body absorb the energy quickly. Time passed quickly as he cultivated, and Lin Yi, who was forced into the jade space, was in a state of unconsciousness. He couldn't sense what was going on outside, and had to wait until his body recovered to a certain extent before he could re-establish contact with the outside world. Feng Tianlong rushed to the villa after receiving Tang Yun's call. Although they were father and daughter, it wasn't good for Xiao Xiao to be naked. After all, Xiao Xiao was a grown-up now. Therefore, Tang Yun stopped Feng Tianlong at the door of the bedroom. "Uncle Feng, please wait a moment. Yao Yao and Shu are helping Xiao Xiao get dressed. She want to take a shower and fainted in the bathroom." Okay. How is Xiao Xiao? This time, can she be saved?" Feng Tianlong rushed over as soon as he received the call, but Tang Yun didn't explain clearly on the phone, so he asked anxiously as soon as he entered the room. This time, Tang Yun's expression darkened. To be honest, Tang Yun didn't like Xiao Xiao at first, and she agreed to Feng Tianlong's request because she had no other choice. But now, Tang Yun truly liked Xiao Xiao. She was worried for her, and didn't want her to leave. Tang Yun didn't finish her sentence, but Feng Tianlong understood what she meant. He nodded silently and walked into the bedroom with her. Xiao Xiao was already dressed by Meng Yao and Yu Shu, and when Tianlong walked in, he saw Lin Yi lying beside Xiao Xiao. He couldn't help but gasp. At first, Tianlong thought that Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to be lying beside Xiao Xiao. He didn't know if he was asleep, or Lin Yi lost too much blood to save Xiao Xiao and fainted. Tang Yun sighed. She was worried, but she knew that Lin Yi had strong recovery abilities. She didn't need to worry too much. Then Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong's face was very ugly. Lin Yi had lost too much blood, and Xiao Xiao wasn't awake yet. It was obvious what this meant. I don't know yet. She's not awake yet. But although her heartbeat and breathing are weak, but Tang Yun wanted to say that she wasn't dead, but that didn't sound good, so she didn't say it. She believed that Feng Tianlong would understand. Sigh. Feng Tianlong looked at his daughter on the bed, frowning. Was this day really coming? As expected, they couldn't escape from his curse. Xiao Xiao couldn't hold on, and followed in the footsteps of his wife. Looking at the pale-faced Lin Yi, Feng Tianlong was filled with guilt. He felt that he had wronged him. If it weren't for his request, Lin Yi wouldn't have anything to do with Xiao Xiao and wouldn't have gotten involved in this. But now, Lin Yi was treating Xiao Xiao as his own responsibility, sparing no effort. Lin Yi not only saved her twice from bad guys, but also pulled her back from the gates of hell. This kind of friendship was hard to come by, not to mention a fake couple. Even a real couple would not be able to do this. Husband and wife were birds in the same forest, but when faced with a disaster, they would fly away separately. This wasn't just a saying, there were too many examples. But Lin Yi was willing to sacrifice his own body for Xiao Xiao. Feng Tianlong didn't know how to repay him. "Uncle Feng, what are you doing?" Tang Yun quickly stood up and stopped Feng Tianlong. "Yeah, Uncle Feng, we're good friends with Xiao Xiao, good sisters." "This is nothing," Meng Yao added. "Ever since Xiao Xiao came to the villa, she's brought a lot of joy to everyone. Yeah. We formed a troublemaking duo, ready to sweep the universe." Yushu said as well. "All right, then I won't be unreasonable. If you're tired, go to sleep first. I'll wait here for Xiao Xiao and Yi to wake up." Feng Tianlong looked at the time. "It's already 3 in the morning. I don't want to disturb your rest. It's fine. We're worried about Lin, Yi, and Xiao Xiao. Tang Yin shook her head. Tang Yin shook her head. The two people she cared about the most were still unconscious. How could she be in the mood to sleep? Meng Yao and Yushu didn't say anything, but it was obvious that they thought the same. Seeing that his daughter had so many good friends, Feng Tianlong was touched again. Lin Yi quickly absorbed the energy in the jade space. In order to wake up sooner, Lin Yi compressed all the energy around him and absorbed it into his body. This way, he could absorb more pure qi in the same amount of time. But when the pure qi was released in his body, it gave Lin Yi immense pain. It was like small energy bombs exploding in his body. Although it was his own energy, it was still very uncomfortable for Lin Yi. But Lin Yi didn't care about that anymore. His only thought was to recover quickly and use his blood to heal Xiao Xiao. Seeing Lin Yi's crazy actions, Jiao Yazi didn't stop him. If Lin Yi wanted to suffer, then so be it. As long as it wasn't too dangerous, Jiao Yazi didn't want to interfere. Lin Yi even dared to use energy compression when leveling up, let alone now. Chapter 1320. Lin Yi saw Tianlong and the unconscious Xiao Xiao beside him. Jiao Lao, is there still hope? Lin Yi's body had recovered a lot, and he looked a lot better than before. It's hard to say. The severity of the situation has exceeded my expectations. The frost has basically invaded her meridians, and from a normal perspective, there's nothing we can do. Even if you manage to wake her up, it'll only be a day or two. Jiao Yazi said, "Can you find a fruit in a day or two?" "I don't think it's possible." Lin Yi took a deep breath. "A day or two? Even if it's just a day or two, I have to try. I can't just watch her die. Do what you want. You won't give up until you see the end of the road. Xiao Xiao has already developed a resistance to your blood, which means that the Yin frost in her body has reached a certain level, and your blood can't suppress it anymore." Jiao Yazi said, "I know. No need to say more. Even a day or two is good enough." Lin Yi said, "It's Xiao Xiao's birthday soon, and I don't want her to have any regrets. I haven't celebrated her birthday with her yet." Feeling that his body was almost healed, Lin Yi quickly left the jade space and came back to reality. Lin Yi had been using his senses to check on Xiao Xiao's condition, and it was good that there was still life, so Lin Yi could rest easy and recover. After waking up, Lin Yi didn't bother talking to Tianlong. He bit his wrist and let the blood flow onto Xiao Xiao's body. Tianlong was relieved to see Lin Yi wake up, but at the same time, he felt lucky. Xiao Xiao was in trouble, and if something happened to Lin Yi, how could he live with his conscience? Especially when Lin Yi was Lin Dongfang's disciple. If something happened to him, how would he answer to him? But the first thing Lin Yi did when he woke up was bite his wrist and continue healing Xiao Xiao. This made Tianlong's heart ache. He didn't know what to say. Lin Yi really cared about Xiao Xiao. "Lil Yi, don't force yourself. Life and death are decreed by fate. You've already tried your best. Xiao Xiao is already like this. You can't harm your own body like this." Tianlong knew how important blood was to the human body. Although Lin Yi was a practitioner, he was also a practitioner. She'd lost too much blood to the point of fainting, and it was already a miracle that she could wake up without blood transfusion. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was giving her blood after waking up. Wasn't he looking to die? "Don't worry," Lin Yi said faintly. "I've almost recovered. I have to try everything. If I don't try, I won't be satisfied." Tang Yun, Meng Yao, and Yushu all fell silent after hearing Lin Yi's words. They all knew Lin Yi's personality. He would do what he said. Lin Yi's heart was conflicted. He wouldn't give up. Xiao Xiao's face was still pale and motionless, but Lin Yi still insisted on pouring his blood on Xiao Xiao's body. Time passed, and Lin Yi's face turned even paler and scarier. But Lin Yi didn't give up. The atmosphere in the room was very tense. No one spoke. Everyone was silent, and their eyes were on Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao. Finally, Xiao Xiao's eyelashes moved. She moved. She really moved. Yushu cried out. A happy smile appeared on Lin Yi's face. It seemed that Xiao Xiao had come back from the gates of hell. Tianlong's face was filled with joy and surprise as well. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to save Xiao Xiao this time. Xiao Xiao, are you awake? Tianlong ran over, a little excited. Ugh. Xiao Xiao opened her eyes in a daze and looked at the people in the room, surprised. I'm awake? I'm still alive? Yeah, you're still alive. Lin, he nodded. Linny, honey, you saved me again? Xiao Xiao looked at the pale face of Lin E, his wrist still bleeding. She felt a little bad. Yeah, Shield Bro lost a lot of blood to save you and fainted. Yushu nodded, but he kept saving you after he woke up. Shoo. Ming Yao stopped her from saying any more. Xiao Xiao would feel even worse if she said all this, wouldn't she? As expected, a sad expression appeared on Xiao Xiao's face. Linny, honey, I'm really sorry. I'm not worth it. Even if I were alive, I wouldn't be able to last more than a few days. I can feel that the cold energy is still stirring. It's just being suppressed for now, I know. It's your birthday the day after tomorrow. After this day, you'll break the curse of dying before you're 20. Maybe things will turn around. Lin, he said. Really? It's my birthday the day after tomorrow? Xiao Xiao didn't even remember her birthday. Tianlong had been busy with work, and she didn't have any close friends, so she didn't remember her birthday. She didn't think that he would remember her birthday at all. I saw it on your ID. Linny smiled. All right, don't say such depressing things. Everything's fine now. Okay. Xiao Xiao nodded, after some hesitation. Yes, no matter what. She was alive again. Who cared how long she had left? She couldn't let Linny down, could she? The sky was starting to lighten, and the three girls hadn't slept the entire night. Xiao Xiao had just woken up, but she was very tired as well. After talking for a while, she started yawning. Linny didn't know what to say, but he didn't know what to say. Rest early, everyone. I'm going back to my room to rest as well. Lin Yi said. I'm going back too. Xiao Xiao, listen to Lin Yi here. Tianlong had work to do too. The Red Conch incident wasn't solved yet. Who knew what they were planning next? Luckily, Xiao Xiao was in the villa now, so they didn't have to worry about the Red Conches attacking. After leaving the room, the smile on Lin Yi's face disappeared, replaced with a worried look. Tianlong, who followed him out, saw the change in Lin Yi's expression, but he wasn't too surprised. How long can Xiao Xiao last this time? Chapter 1321. What? You're saying that you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Tianlong froze and stared at Lin Yi with his eyes wide open. His breathing quickened as he asked, Little Yi, tell me, have you found a way to save Xiao Xiao? Uncle Feng, don't move yet. Let's go downstairs and talk in my room. Lin Yi was afraid that Tianlong's voice would disturb Meng Yao and the others in the room, so he made a gesture. Okay. Tianlong's body was shaking as he followed Lin Yi downstairs to Lin Yi's room. He couldn't wait as he entered. Lin Yi, tell me, do you have a way? Uncle Feng, I do, but I don't know if I can find the herb. If I can, then it's not a problem. Lin Yi said, but there's a problem, and that's time. There's not enough time. Even if I try my best, it'll take a month or longer. Xiao Xiao won't last that long, Herb. There's news on the fire spirit's fruit? Tianlong asked, surprised. Yes, I found an ancient medicine saint in a medical book. He once treated a very important patient with the fire spirit's fruit, and this herb can neutralize the coldness in the human body. It's what Xiao Xiao needs. Lin Yi said, and the place where this medicine saint found the fruit might be recorded in his medical notes, and the notes might be in his tomb. Oh, you're saying you found the tomb of this medicine saint? Tianlong said, surprised. I found it, and I'm preparing to go. Lin Yi nodded and told Tianlong about Lingshan's plan. Lingshan invited me to the tomb, and as a reward, she'll let me copy all the medical books in there. That's not a problem. Even if she doesn't copy it for you, I have a way to show it to you. Feng Tianlong wasn't worried about this. With his special department, it was easy for him to look up these things. Does that mean there's hope for Xiao Xiao's illness? That should have been the case, but time waits for no man. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and sighed. It's too late to know this news. If it were earlier, it wouldn't be like this. That's not a problem. I can still help Xiao Xiao maintain her last bit of vitality. Feng Tianlong said, You might not know this, but when Susu passed away, I made an ice coffin for her and sealed her in it. It can maintain her body's functions. What? You actually thought of this method? Lin was slightly taken aback, then nodded. Absolute zero? Although the department I'm in is a little special, it's still not up to that standard. But even if it doesn't reach that temperature, it won't be a problem to seal Xiao Xiao for decades. Feng Tianlong said, I didn't think of this method. It was Lin Dongfang, your master. He mentioned an interesting story, saying that someone was frozen in a glacier, and when the glacier melted, the person woke up. That's why I thought of this method. Of course, although this method can ensure that Xiao Xiao's body doesn't deteriorate, there's still a risk. Let's not talk about whether that joke was real or not. Even if it was real, there's a lot of coincidence involved. So if she freezes to death and can't recover, that's fine. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had a happy smile on his face. As long as Xiao Xiao's body didn't change, Lin Yi had his omnipotent energy, and he should be able to revive her. Everything was ready, and all that was left was the fire spirit's fruit. Seeing the smile on Lin Yi's face, Feng Tianlong didn't say much. Lin Yi must have a plan. All right, I'll get someone to prepare and make another ice coffin. Feng Tianlong didn't dare delay and immediately prepared to make the arrangements. When you froze Ani Susu back then, did you think that she could be healed in the future? Lin Yi asked. Yes, Miracle Dr. Lin Dongfang said that if a Sky Class were to help, Susu could be saved, but Sky Class. Feng Tianlong smiled bitterly. I've already begged, but no Sky Class would risk losing a level to save a normal person. You seen a Sky Class before? Lin Yi looked at Feng Tianlong, shocked. He didn't think that he'd come into contact with a Sky Class. It's fine. I'm just a normal person now. Let's not talk about that. Feng Tianlong evidently didn't want to talk about the past. He shook his head and didn't say anything else. Lin Yi saw Feng Tianlong's face and knew that he didn't want to talk about it anymore. So he didn't force him. If that's the case, then I'm relieved. If it's possible, I'll find 2 fire spirits fruits and give one to Ani Susu, but if there's only one, please forgive me, Uncle Feng. I can only give it to Xiao Xiao. If the fire spirit's fruit is split, no one can guarantee that it won't have any effect. You love your wife, but I also want my wife to live. I know, I understand. Feng Tianlong couldn't help but laugh after hearing Lin Yi's words. She's still my daughter. I believe that if I really gave the one and only fire spirit's fruit to Susu, even if she came back to life and knew that I didn't save Xiao Xiao, she would still kill me. Lin Yi nodded. Feng Tianlong was right. Which parent didn't want their child to be safe and happy? Even if they died, it didn't matter. He believed that if Xiao Susu woke up, she would have the same thought. Lin Yi believed that if he and Xiao Xiao had a child and Lin Yi found a fire spirit's fruit, Xiao Xiao would definitely give it to the child and not herself. After sending Feng Tianlong away, Lin Yi's mood brightened up. The dark clouds were swept away. As long as he solved the problem of time, everything else wasn't a problem. The fire spirit's fruit, Lin Yi believed that if he worked hard, he would definitely be able to find it. Even if he couldn't find it, he could wait until he leveled up to Sky Class to cure Xiao Xiao's illness. Drop levels? Lin Yi wasn't afraid. Did he drop too little? Because Xiao Xiao always dropped to 0. So this was the result no matter what, right? Negative levels. Chapter 1322. Zhang Wen and the professor got out of the police station without much hassle. They were victims, after all, and Lingshan only investigated how they got caught and tricked before letting them go. The problem now was that Scorpion had confessed, but they couldn't get the money back. This made Lingshan a little depressed. According to Scorpion, he was from the international criminal organization Red Conches. His purpose here was to get money for Red Conches, and the other was to work as an information center. Red Conch had been stirring up a storm in Songzhan recently, so Lingshan didn't doubt Scorpion's words. Red Conch couldn't even catch the people from the Occult Investigation Department, let alone Lingshan. This wasn't something she cared about, and so the underground arena case had to end here. After this case was over, Lingshan would have to focus on the grave robbing case. This was a battle of wits and courage against criminals, and Lingshan had to give it her all. After the underground arena case was over, Xie Yufeng continued to visit her every day. Ling Shan was annoyed, but there was nothing she could do about it. Sometimes, she really wanted Lin Yi to break his legs, so he wouldn't bother her anymore. Ling Shan, you're finally done with the case, right? I saw the papers. It was a complete victory. Congratulations, you've done a meritorious deed again. Yu Feng had been paying attention to Ling Shan. She said that she was busy with the case, and Yu Feng knew that it was an excuse, but she really was busy. After the case was over, Yu Feng planned to ask her out for a meal again. He'd like to see if she had any reason to reject him this time. That's because of everyone's hard work. Ling Shan said faintly, "Do you have something to say? I've booked a table at Starlight Hotel tonight. I'm planning to hold a celebratory feast for you. How about it? Are you free tonight?" Yu Feng smiled. "Sorry, not tonight. There's another case." Ling Shan waved the file in her hand. "I have to work overtime tonight. Maybe next time." Yu Feng was very troubled, and his face didn't look too good after hearing Ling Shan's words. But Ling Shan's reason was reasonable, and he couldn't say anything about it. He gritted his teeth. "All right, I'll be going then." Ling Shan frowned as she watched Yu Feng leave. This guy had been chasing after her for a long time, and he'd always been a problem. She could brush him off now, but what would happen in the long run? There would come a day when Xie Yu Feng would get impatient. And when would he get impatient? What would happen? At that time, House Song and House Yu might just fall out. What would happen to House Song's future then? Ling Shan wasn't in a good mood at the thought. If it weren't for this marriage, with Ling Shan's current potential, it would have been normal for her to have a seat in the noble house meeting. And so Ling Shan was very happy. But now, with the marriage with House Yu, things were different. On the surface, it looked like House Yu's support would make House Song stronger. But the problem was that Ling Shan didn't like Yu Feng. If she didn't have anyone she liked, then it'd be fine. For the sake of House Song, Ling Shan wouldn't mind. But now that she had someone she liked, with her personality, she'd rather die than be with Yu Feng. But this meant that there would be conflict. It was easy to get engaged, but hard to break off. This wasn't just about Yu Feng lusting after her. It was about the face of the house. Of course, if House Yu broke off the engagement first, then House Song would have no choice but to accept it. After all, House Yu was strong, and in the noble house rankings, whoever was stronger had the right. The situation was reversed, and House Song was the weaker. If they broke off the engagement, House Yu might get angry and do something outrageous. There was a knock on the door, and Ling Shan sighed. "Come in." It was Yu Qian. He was invited by Ling Shan to discuss the grave robbing. "Ling Shan, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad?" Yu Qian might have given up on pursuing Ling Shan, but he still cared about her. Her every movement and smile were all under Yu Qian's observation. Naturally, he had to ask when he saw the worried look on Ling Shan's face. "Yu Qian bro, you're here." Ling Shan forced a smile. "Isn't a House Yu's phone?" He came again just now and said that he had booked a table at the Starlight Hotel. "He wants me to go tonight and have a celebratory feast for me." "He's here again." Yu Qian frowned. "Can't he tell that you don't like him?" "He can tell, but so what?" Ling Shan shook her head. "Didn't you see that too? You still don't give up?" I'm different. At least I'm not as persistent as him." Yu Qian felt a little awkward, but he seems to be a little too persistent. Who knows? I don't know how to reject him either. Ling Shan said, "The noble house meeting is coming up, and I don't want House Song and House Yu to turn against each other. It doesn't benefit House Song at all. But how about this? I talk to Yu Feng. We're both men. It's easier to talk. If we ask him to give up and back off, it won't affect House Song and House Yu." Yu Qian sighed. "Let Yu Feng cancel the engagement. That way, we can save our face." Yu Qian sighed. "It's no use. Yu Feng's different from you. He's someone who won't give up until he gets what he wants. I see the possessiveness in his eyes. He won't give up that easily." Ling Shan smiled bitterly. "He's an unreasonable person. No matter what, we still have to try." Yu Qian had a rough idea of Yu Feng's personality from what Ling Shan told him. Domineering and unreasonable. But seeing how troubled Ling Shan was, he wanted to share some of her burden. "It's fine. I don't want to drag you and House Chen into this." Ling Shan said with a wave of her hand, "Your House Chen can't even save yourself. It'll be good enough if you can stay in the noble house meeting. Maybe I should talk to Lenny about it? Maybe he can do something?" Yu Qian asked after some thought. We'll talk about it later. Lin, he seems pretty busy these days. Ling Shan said, let's just brush him off for now. We'll talk to him if it really doesn't work. Chapter 1323. All right, we'll talk about it later then. Yuqian nodded. This was Ling Shan's private matter, after all, and he couldn't say too much about it. He was just giving a suggestion from a friend's perspective. Yuqian bro, I called you here to discuss the operation in a couple of days. I actually have some good news for you. Ling Shan shook her head, throwing Yu Feng's worries to the back of her head. Oh, what good news? Yuqian paused. Don't tell me that Lin Yi agreed to join this operation? That's right, you're right. Ling Shan nodded. With Lin Yi joining us, this operation might be a lot smoother. Yeah, we're both golden class, and you're a golden class late phase peak. But facing those evil grave robbers, I'm still worried that something might go wrong. Yuqian nodded. But this way, Lin Yi and I will be the couple, and you'll only be the follower, Ling Shan said, a little embarrassed. Naturally. Don't worry, I won't have any thoughts. I've thought it through already. Yuqian smiled. I support you and Lin Yi being together. I still have some thoughts, but I've let it go. All right, then this operation is set. Me, Lin Yi, and you'll do it together. As for the others, you don't need to bring them. Ling Shan said. According to the information, the couple likes to work alone, and they don't like to bring too many underlings. Sometimes they only bring one follower. In fact, it's not always good to have more people in a grave robber. There's a lot of traps in the graveyard, and one mistake and you'll die. It's fine if you have a good follower, but normal followers are just a burden. That's true, Yuqian said. When do we leave? I've already contacted the other grave robbers. You better follow up on Bojia's side. I can't do much. He said he told us everything he knows, but I feel like he's hiding something. Ling Shan shrugged, a little regretful. This guy's really tight-lipped. Other than the things he told us, no matter what I did, he never spilled anything. However, his words were too rigorous and his thoughts were too clear. Even if a normal person were to tell the truth, there would still be some mistakes or omissions when saying the same truth so many times. However, he didn't. It was as if he had prepared a draft. This person's mind is too meticulous, but he's an expert in learning, so it's normal for his IQ to be higher than ordinary criminals. Shin Yutian said, but you don't have to worry about it too much. I think he probably told Lin Yi what he didn't say. It's probably about the medical books in Zhang Liju's tomb. It doesn't have much to do with us. That's possible. Ling Gui remembered that Boajia said he was going to give Lin Yi something. To Lin Yi, the only things that counted as benefits were money and medical books. Boajia didn't know Lin Yi, but he knew that Lin Yi was a skilled doctor. He couldn't give Lin Yi more than these two things. After that, Ling Shan and Yu Tian started to discuss the details of the mission, but most of it was just on paper. They didn't know what it was like inside the tomb, how dangerous it was, and what they were doing now was just to make sure they didn't have to worry about anything when it happened. Today was Xiao Xiao's birthday, and Meng Yao went to the supermarket with Shu early in the morning. They bought a lot of fresh fruits, prepare and make a fruit cake. Tang Yin was kneading the dough and making the cake base while Lin Yi told Xiaobo to buy butter. The miss had all the cooking utensils in the house, and Lin Yi was preparing to make a cake for Xiao Xiao. This wasn't hard for Lin Yi. There weren't any cake shops in Star West Village, and Lin Yi and Old Lin's birthdays were always made by Lin Yi himself. Lin Yi was by Xiao Xiao's side, looking at the thick jacket she was wearing, looking so down. He couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Xiao, don't worry too much. Didn't I tell you already? Uncle Feng will prepare an ice coffin for you and seal you up like your mother. I'll find a fruit for sure. Yeah, I believe you. I'm not worried, I'm just cold. Xiao Xiao said weakly. Actually, I'm really happy today, Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Xiao had been like this ever since she woke up 2 days ago. It was probably because she was supposed to be dead, but Lin Yi forcefully extended her life for 2 more days. Naturally, she didn't have much energy left. All right, it's your birthday, don't knit anymore. Let's put it off for a day. Lin Yi said as he saw Xiao Xiao pick up the needle and start knitting again. Let me knit. I'm afraid I won't make it in time. Who knows if I'll be able to live past tomorrow. Xiao Xiao shook her head and continued. Didn't I say that you won't die? Lin Yi said, You can knit it when you come back to life. That won't do. I want to give it to you now. Xiao Xiao said. Who knows how long it'll be before I can come back to life? Lenny didn't stop Xiao Xiao from saying that. He got up and went to the kitchen to help Tang Yun with the cake. The doorbell rang, and Tang Yun went to open the door. It was Su Shirhan. He had called her earlier, inviting her to Xiao Xiao's birthday banquet. She'd booked a ticket to leave today, but for Xiao Xiao, she changed it to tomorrow. Han, you're here. Tang Yun was surprised, not expecting Su Shirhan to actually come. Yeah, where's Xiao Xiao? I brought her a present, Su Jinghan said as she took out a gift bag. In the living room, Han, you play with Xiao Xiao for a while. I'm making a cake with Lin Yi. I can't stay with you guys for now. Tang Yun showed Su Shirhan her hand that was covered in flour. All right, go on then. Right? Do you need my help? Su Shirhan asked. No need, just accompany Xiao Xiao. Tang Yun shook her head. Han, you're here. Xiao Xiao greeted Su Shirhan weakly. Xiao Xiao, what's wrong? Why are you so weak? Why are you wearing a jacket at home? Su Shirhan's eyes went wide when she saw Xiao Xiao. It's nothing. Haha, maybe I'm dying? Xiao Xiao smiled. Chapter 1324. Shirhan fell silent. Xiao Xiao had seen through life and death, but she still felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing a friend she'd just met leave made her heart heavy. All right, Han, let's not talk about this. Lenny Honey said that he can cure me, so he definitely can. Who knows? Maybe you'll come back in a few years and find me alive again. Xiao Xiao saw that Shirhan wasn't in a good mood and started consoling her. Shirhan paused. Naturally, she didn't know about the ice coffin, so it was a little weird. It's nothing. What did you get me? Let me see. Xiao Xiao changed the topic. An album I recorded for you myself. Most of the songs are covers, but there's nothing special about it. I've never released it before, Shirhan said as she handed the gift to Xiao Xiao. Wow, not bad at all. I love it. Xiao Xiao happily put the gift away. Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Kongfen all came back one after another. Gooden, Yuan Yuan, Fatty Lai, and Feng Tianlong were all invited as well. After the cake was done, everyone sat around the dining table and started singing the birthday song. Everyone knew about Xiao Xiao, but no one would bring it up right now. They didn't look sad, either. Everyone happily gave their blessings. I'm so touched. This is the first time I've had such a lively birthday. Xiao Xiao said emotionally. I used to celebrate my birthdays with my dad at most, but this time I have so many good friends. All right, time to turn off the lights and cut the cake. Yushu lit up the candles on the cake and happily turned off the lights in the dining room. In an instant, the dining room turned dark and only the candlelight flickered. Xiao Xiao's face was flushed from the candlelight, and she looked exceptionally beautiful behind the candlelight. Xiao Xiao, you're 1 year older now. Do you have any wishes? Tianlong smiled at his daughter. Hearing that, he had a solution. Feng Tianlong let out a sigh of relief. Not only was there hope for Xiao Xiao, but there was also hope for his wife to wake up. This made his 20 years of gloomy mood finally see some light. Yeah, I can't tell you. Xiao Xiao blushed, but under the candlelight, no one could see her blushing. Then, let's all stop talking and let Xiao Xiao make a wish. Shirhan suggested. All right. Xiao Xiao, hurry up and make a wish. Tell me secretly after you're done. Yushu said. Huh. Xiao Xiao nodded and clasped her hands together, closing her eyes as she silently made a wish. Xiao Xiao looked like she'd seen through life and death, and didn't fear death anymore. But in truth, she didn't want to die. Especially with a boyfriend like Lin Yi and friends like Meng Yao, Yu Shu, Tang Yun, and Shirhan. She didn't want to die, and so she made a wish, hoping that Lin Yi would be able to cure her so that she could be with them forever. Xiao Xiao sincerely made her wish, and the beautiful images of the future appeared in her mind. She'd have children with Lin Yi, Tang Yun, Meng Yao, Xiao Xiao, and Shirhan. It was simply too beautiful, and she couldn't help but feel a little dizzy. No one spoke in the dining room. Everyone was waiting for Xiao Xiao to make her wish, but after a while, Xiao Xiao didn't look up. Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi called. Xiao Xiao didn't reply. Lin Yi stood up and rushed over, checking Xiao Xiao's breathing and pulse. As expected, it was the same faint feeling she had when she was unconscious. Her illness had acted up, and she couldn't make it past her 20th birthday. Lin Yi subconsciously wanted to bite his wrist and use his blood to heal her, but Zhao Yazi's voice sounded. "Yi, don't waste your efforts. The cold in her body has seeped into her bones, and it's not something you can reverse. No matter how much blood you use, it won't do anything. The most important thing right now is to use the method you thought of before to seal her in an ice coffin, and then go find a fruit." Lin Yi paused before coming back to his senses. He stopped biting his wrist and sighed. "Uncle Feng, prepare the ice coffin. I can't do it this time. There's nothing I can do." Lin Yi's words stunned everyone. Lin Yi had pulled Xiao Xiao back from the gates of hell time and time again, and they thought that he could do it this time as well. But they didn't expect Lin Yi to say something like that. "Xiao Xiao," Tang Yin stood up first, her face pale. "Lin Yi, is there no other way? Seal her in an ice coffin as soon as possible. I'll find a fruit. That's the only way." Lin Yi said seriously. "Of course, when I break through to Sky Class, I'll be able to save Xiao Xiao, so don't be too sad. Just pretend that she's asleep." Lin Yi was sad as well, but he didn't want others to be sadder, so he tried to comfort them. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Shirhan all looked sad and sad as well. The day had finally come, and it was a good thing that they were all mentally prepared for it. "I'll contact the ice coffin right now." Tianlong nodded quickly and started making the call. The usually lively House Chu's villa had returned to its usual calmness, and even the lively Yushu had become quiet. Xiao Xiao's death wasn't something that could be relieved in just 1 or 2 days. Xiao Xiao wasn't in the villa before, but it was a completely different feeling from now. "Chill, bro. When are you going grave robbing?" Yushu urged Lin Yi almost every day, asking him when he was going. "Lin Yi, I'll leave Xiao Xiao to you." Meng Yao reminded Lin Yi often that he had a mission, a responsibility. "Lin Yi, as long as you save Xiao Xiao, I'll agree to anything. We can play together. Even a threesome is fine." Tang Yin, who was always shy, was even flirting with Lin Yi for Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1325. And so, Lin Yi spent these days researching the mechanisms of the tomb, and the blueprints and instructions Lu Buijia gave him were read over and over by Lin Yi. But even with the blueprints, Lin Yi didn't slack off. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust Lu Buijia, but the information wasn't complete. Lu Buijia's information only talked about the mechanisms on the outskirts of the tomb, but didn't talk about the facilities inside. After all, Lu Buijia himself only observed from the outside and didn't go in, so no one knew what the situation inside was like. Every afternoon, it was still Lin Yi, the Miss Shu, and Yin eating together, but something seemed to be missing. No one seemed to want to talk, and the only thing they talked about was urging Lin Yi to go rob the tomb and find a way to save Xiao Xiao. Without Xie Yufeng, the school became peaceful again, and Pin Liang tolerated it for the time being. He didn't have any conflicts with Lin Yi and the others. The days went on, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of the tomb robber. Lin Yi said goodbye to the Miss Shu and Yin Yun, but they didn't seem reluctant at all. Instead, they sighed happily. "We're finally leaving." Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He smiled bitterly. "Wait for my good news. But you have to be careful." Tang Yin said seriously, "To us, Xiao Xiao is important, but you're important as well. Don't force yourself and do what you can. As long as there's life, there's hope. If something happens to you, not only us, but even Xiao Xiao will lose hope." "Yeah, Lin Yi, you have to be careful." Meng Yao nodded. "I understand, don't worry." Lin Yi nodded and said with a smile. Before leaving, Lin Yi called Gooden into the villa. Even though Songshan's enemies hadn't come knocking on their door, Lin Yi was still worried about the girl's safety. It was better to be safe than sorry. Even with Faubert around, Faubert was only a peak late phase golden class, and while he could deal with normal opponents, he wouldn't be able to handle the stronger ones. Gooden, I'll leave Yao Yao, Shu, and Yin Yun's safety to you when I'm not here," Lin Yi said. Don't worry, boss. Leave this to me. Gooden patted his chest. I'll make sure to protect them when you're not here. But your body is special. You have to remember what I said. Lin, he said seriously. If a master comes looking for trouble, and you don't have the confidence, just kill him straight away. Don't hold back. You're strong, but if a mystic's punch hits you, you'll die for sure. And if the opponent isn't very strong, then cripple his resistance first. Then ask the mastermind behind the scenes. I'll remember. Gooden remembered Lin Yi's words. He looked honest, but he wasn't stupid. He knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. That night, Gooden moved into the Chu Villa, Lin Yi's room. As for Yuan, they had to leave for now. Gooden and Yuan didn't want to leave, but as far as he was concerned, the mission his boss gave him was the most important. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went to the police station to meet up with Lingshan and Yuqian. There were some things that needed to be done in unison. The other grave robbers weren't just for show. After all, if their disguise was exposed, then it'd be over. Yuqian bro, Lingshan, you guys should have come up with a detailed plan for the grave robbing, right? Just show it to me. Linny didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Linny didn't need to be courteous with Yuqian and Lin Yi, especially with Lingshan and Lin Yi. It's done, it's here. Yuqian nodded and handed the plan to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't say much as he sat on the sofa and started flipping through the book. He'd only skimmed through the tomb raiding plans. It was all theoretical stuff, with no practical use at all. He'd only read the introduction to the couple in detail, including their habits, style, etc., 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 etc. The couple rarely interacts with others. Even the other grave robbers don't know their true faces. After Lin Yi finished reading the information, he asked, in other words, we don't have to deliberately disguise ourselves? That's right. The couple is a very cautious and cunning tomb robber. If it weren't for the coincidence that I found them at the border, I wouldn't have been able to kill them. Chen Yuqian nodded. This way, it saves us a lot of trouble. They're a rather unique existence in the tomb raiding world. Their skills are high, and they're cunning. Their peers love and hate each other as well. Sometimes, they're greedy and want a piece of every tomb, but other times they can't do without them. They're very experienced. Linny nodded. Right now, it's me and Lingshan acting as the couple. You're our foundation, right? That's right. Yuqian nodded. You're the strongest among the three of us, and the male is also the strongest among the couple. What's your strength now? Or early phase golden class? Linny looked at Yuqian and asked. Yes, I'm sorry, but I'm still early phase golden class. Yuqian said, a little embarrassed. He hadn't been able to raise his strength because of his talent. Then I'll raise you to peak late phase golden class tonight. You'll be able to protect yourself like Lingshan, Lin Yi said faintly. Yuqian froze. Peak late phase golden class? Did he hear wrongly? Lin Yi was going to raise his strength, and looking at Lin Yi's tone, it seemed like he was talking about something very normal. You should know how Lingshan raised her strength. Stop wasting time and start now. Lin Yi looked at Yuqian's shocked face and smiled impatiently. Chapter 1326. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Once the strength of these people increased, even the hidden families and ancient sects would not dare to act rashly in front of him. If he didn't want to be bullied, he had to keep increasing his strength. But at the same time, he also had to help the people around him. This wasn't just helping him, it was also for their own good. Otherwise, once Lin Yi's strength reached a certain level, others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. But what if they tried to do something to his friends and family? Although Lin Yi would definitely go crazy for revenge, there were still some brainless people out there. All right. Yuqian took a deep breath and said solemnly, I can't thank you enough. Don't say those useless things. Why are you being so polite with me? Lin Yi scolded with a smile. You'll only be able to protect Shu when you're strong enough. I can't protect her forever. You'll still be the big brother in the future. But you and Shu. Yuqian actually approved of his sister being with Lin Yi. Although there was still Lingshan here, Tang Yin there, and Xiao Xiao there. But on one hand, Yu could see that his sister really liked Tang Yin, and on the other hand, he admired Lin Yi. Let's not talk about this. Lin Yi waved his hand, ending the topic. He put his hands on Yu meridians. Start channeling your arts. I'm going to start. All right. Yu nodded, and Lin Yi closed his eyes and entered the jade space, channeling the art of dragon mastery. In the next moment, a large amount of qi was absorbed into Yu body. Even if Yu had heard Lingshan talk about how she leveled up once, he couldn't help but be shocked. Could this be the legendary power imparting? The purity of this qi was something Chen Yutian had never seen before. Even in the deep mountains and forests, the qi he absorbed wasn't half as pure as this. Chen Yutian didn't dare to waste any time and started absorbing as much qi as he could. Lingshan had already been through Lin Yi's leveling up, and so she wasn't too surprised. She sat quietly on the side, protecting the two, not letting anyone disturb them. After midnight, Lin Yi stopped channeling, and Yu reached the peak of the late phase of the golden class without a doubt. What Lin Yi wasn't surprised was that he still stopped at the bottleneck, unable to take another step forward. I'm really at the peak of the late phase of the golden class? Yu opened his hands in disbelief, shocked. Is this for real? In such a short period of time, I actually have this kind of strength. It's like a dream. I felt the same way back then. Lingshan looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be affected at all, smiling bitterly. Just how strong was this person? Even if it was Grandma, she'd lose some strength when she passed on her grandpa's strength, and there was no way she could raise someone from the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in such a short time. How many levels did he cross in between? This was simply inconceivable. That's all I can do for now. Whether or not you can reach the mystic class depends on your own efforts. Lin Yi said regretfully, if I want to raise you guys to the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, I'll have to work hard to become an earth class. You can still raise. Yu eyes widened. He didn't think that the day Lin Yi became an earth class would be the day he became a mystic late phase peak. This was too hard to accept, wasn't it? But the truth was the truth, and he had to believe it. After all, he'd seen it with his own eyes. From the early phase of the golden class to the peak of the late phase in one night. The speed was like sitting on a rocket. All right, let's all get some rest. I'm tired too. Don't we have to leave early tomorrow morning? Lin Yi had been using every night to train, so that if he couldn't find the fruit, he'd be able to prolong Xiao Xiao's life when he became a sky class. The effect wasn't as good as the fruit, but it was a safer backup plan. After all, Lin Yi was sure that he'd reach the sky class one day. Lingshan and Yu didn't object, since it was getting late. But they were in Lingshan's office, and sleeping was a problem. In Lingshan's break room, there was a sofa that could fit two people if they squeezed together, but in the outer room, there was a sofa that could only fit one person. Lin Yi, you and Lingshan can sleep on the bed. I'll sleep on the sofa. Yu had already accepted the fact that Lingshan and Lin Yi were sleeping together, so he suggested. Lingshan blushed, but didn't object. In her heart, she'd long since considered herself as Lin Yi's woman. He'd seen everything, and even tried to seduce him. Why would she care about sleeping with Lin Yi? She couldn't wait. It's okay, I'm not sleeping. I can recover by training. I'll just rest on the chair. You guys sleep, Lin Yi said faintly. All right, Yu nodded. I'll sleep on the sofa then. Yu could see the disappointment on Lingshan's face, but this wasn't something he could meddle in. It was better to sleep first. Then I'll go rest too. Lingshan knew that Lin Yi was a man of his word. If he didn't want to go, there was no point in forcing him. After a night of silence, the three started their journey the next day to the ancient tomb in the outskirts of Songshan City. The three of them were in an off-road car. It was Yu car, but the original license plate had been removed and replaced with a fake one. This was a common method used by grave robbers, and Lingshan and the others naturally followed suit. Although the tomb was in the outskirts of Songshan City, it was still quite far from the city proper, about 5 hours of driving. There were no highways, and there were mountain roads in between, so 5 hours was a conservative estimate. Sure enough, when the three of them arrived at their destination, it was already evening. This was a very desolate foot of a mountain. At the foot of the mountain, there was only a small village. It could be seen that the economy here was not very developed. The village was filled with bungalows, and the conditions were not very good. Chapter 13:27. No need, let's go straight. We're all practitioners, we don't need to rest. Lin, he said faintly. Lingshan nodded. She'd forgotten that they were all practitioners, so she'd naturally suggest that they set up camp in a village to rest, but that wasn't necessary now. Then let's keep going. We should be there soon, Lingshan said. The road became more and more difficult to advance. There was almost no one in this area. Even the people in the nearby villages would not come to this place. This was because this was a mountain range, and it was mainly composed of rock cliffs. There were no wild fruits or animals. People could do nothing but look at the scenery here. The scenery here isn't bad. It's a good place to take pictures. Lin, he sighed. It's a pity that no matter how good the scenery is, we can't develop it into a tourist spot because of the seclusion. The villages nearby are too poor, and the infrastructure is too bad. It'd take too much investment to develop this place into a tourist spot. No company would invest that much money here, and we don't even know if there'll be any returns. Yuqian said. Lin, he didn't understand business operations, and so he didn't comment on Yuqian's words. The car drove for a while, and the road got harder and harder. There were fewer trees on the side of the road, and there was nothing else other than desolate rocks. They thought that the scenery was pretty when they first entered the mountain range, but as time went on, it became boring and boring. Chen Yutian was right. This place wasn't suitable for a tourist spot. The scenery was too monotonous, and people who came here once wouldn't come back again. There was no point in staying here. We're almost there. We need to put on our masks. The tents in front might belong to the other tomb robbers. We need to be cautious and alert at all times. Don't let anyone see through us. Lingshan reminded. There's no need to be vigilant. Being too vigilant would only make people suspicious. Let's just do what we need to do. Lin, he said faintly. The couple style is very overbearing and arrogant. The information mentioned that, too. Everyone in the industry knows that. Why would they be cautious? You're right. I was too worried, Lingshan said, getting taught a lesson. With that, Lin Yi, Lingshan, and Yuqian put on the masks they prepared beforehand. These masks were all taken from the couple, and they were all original masks. They didn't even need to copy them. As the car got closer, they saw rows of tents and rows of vehicles not far away. Most of the vehicles were off-road vehicles, but there were also a few large trucks. They were probably loaded with living materials. These grave robbers had many underlings, unlike the couple who preferred to be alone. When Chun Yuqian drove closer, a few men with assault rifles walked out of the tent. Behind them, a short and skinny man waved his hand, signaling Chun Yuqian to stop. What are you doing? This is a military administrative area. There's construction in front of us. We can't go through. The short and thin man said lightly. If it were a normal tourist, they might have really believed the man's words and turned around to leave, but Chen Yuqian came here with a purpose. Naturally, he wouldn't believe the man's words. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. There's wood in front, right? Chen Yuqian said faintly. This was the newest entrance to the grave robber's business, and he got it from Lu Buijia himself. He believed that the short and thin man would understand. Oh, the man said calmly. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. The previous sentence was a common opening in the tomb robbing industry, and this sentence was the agreed-upon secret code for this tomb robbing. If they could not answer, then sorry, the short and thin man would wave his hand, and the burly men with the submachine guns would not hesitate to open fire. If he could match the first sentence, but not the second sentence, it was very likely that this person was also a member of the thief sect. He must have heard the news and wanted to fish in troubled waters to get some benefits. Therefore, the dark and thin man would never let these people have a share of the profits. Pagoda-bearing Heavenly Kingly, Chen Yuqian said calmly. He got this secret code from the couple's logbook. Even Lu Buijia didn't know this secret code. The couple might have been afraid of forgetting this secret code, so they recorded it in their logbook. Both Yuqian and Ling Shan wanted to laugh when they first saw the signal. The first reaction most people would have was the pagoda suppressing the river monster, but it'd be a huge mistake if they were to say something like that out of their mouth. A friend from afar. May I ask which group you're from? The short and thin man's face softened a bit. He knew that this was the group they'd agreed on. Old hey, you don't even fucking recognize me anymore? Why were you wasting my time? Do you want me to make him run you over? Before Chen Yuqian could say anything, Lin Yi opened the car door unhappily and jumped down, scolding the man. According to Chen Yuqian's information, this old He was the leader of the Red Pagoda Tomb robbers, as well as the discoverers of this tomb. The couple had a weird temper and thought highly of their skills, looking down on their peers. They weren't very popular usually, but when it came to difficult tombs like this, they had no choice but to invite them over. And so, Lin Yi started scolding them as soon as he got out of the car. Male thief, you're still so bad-tempered. I'm just doing this for safety. The fewer people here, the more benefits we'll get. I'm just worried that someone might hear about this and come join the fun. The short and thin man called Old Hay shook his head helplessly. He was pissed off, but there was nothing else he could do. Lin Yi humphed coldly. Where are the others? Are they all here? My time is limited. Kung Bro, Hao Yi, and James are all here. They're resting over there. The short and thin man said. Everyone's here? When is it starting? Lin Yi asked. According to the information he'd read, there were only 5 groups of people who'd come this time, and one of the couples had already become him. The other 4 groups were all present. Chapter 1328. He only nodded. If you guys are hungry, you could buy some food over there. With that, the skinny man pointed at the 2 trucks not far away. No need, we brought our own food, Lin Yi said faintly before getting back into the car. Yu Qian, on the other hand, drove off to find the camp. What the hell, an idiot. Beside the skinny man was a big man with a submachine gun. He spat out a mouthful of phlegm on the ground as he watched Lin Yi's car leave. Does he really think he's some sort of big shot? He's so rich, and he brings his own food every time. Why didn't he get killed by the traps in the tomb? He's not on the same side as us. We don't get along well. Maybe he's worried that we'll poison his food. Old Hay shook his head and went back to the tent without saying anything else. Lin Yi, you're not bad. Ling Shan praised after the car was far away. I was so nervous just now, scared that Old Hay would see through us. His eyes are like sharp swords, like they can see through people's thoughts. But you got out of the car and started yelling at him. It's fine if he yelled at me, Lin Yi said faintly. What we do now? Set up a tent like them? Yes. According to the data, the couple doesn't have a good relationship with the other tomb robbers, so we don't need to visit them. We just need to wait here. Ling Shan said. Lin Yi nodded and started setting up the tent with Yu Tian. He then took out some food from the car and went into the tent. Old Hay had been watching Lin Yi's group with his binoculars and only breathed out in relief when he saw them setting up the tent like normal and not doing anything else. Although Old Black felt that there was nothing wrong with the burglar couple today and everything seemed normal, for some reason, he felt that the male burglar couple gave off a dangerous feeling. It was different from before. Blackie shook his head. Perhaps he was being too sensitive. Inside the tent, Yu Qian and Ling Shan were munching on bread and drinking mineral water. Lin Yi, on the other hand, just ate something and started practicing. There was an endless amount of energy in the jade space that he could absorb, so skipping meals was fine. As for that piece of bread, it was just out of habit. Let's take turns to be on duty at night. One person will be on duty while the others sleep, Ling Shan said as she ate. I don't feel too reassured. I'm worried that they'll notice something and do something bad to us. Not at the moment, but it's fine. You guys go to sleep. I'll keep watch. Lin Yi said indifferently. My cultivation is no different from sleeping. I can sense everything that is happening outside. Ling Shan's mouth was agape, but she didn't say anything. She knew how weird Lin Yi was. After all, it wasn't a surprise to her. Xiaoke was about to die from tiredness. Money really wasn't that easy to earn. Earning some extra money to support the orphanage wasn't easy at all. Although the orphanage had received a huge donation from Songshan Songshan First School, more than 2 million, she couldn't just sit there and do nothing. She wouldn't let go of a chance to earn money. Songshan's anti-theft operation was still ongoing, and Xiaoka had no business to do it all. She had to look for other opportunities. She posted a mission on the Thief Store's website, and a tomb robber organization called Red Pagoda accepted her mission, asking her to help with the tomb robberies. And so Xiaoka came, but she didn't have a car. She did rent one before, but the driver would only drive her to the village in front at most. He wouldn't drive any further. It couldn't be helped. Xiaoka called a taxi, not a sedan. Driving on this kind of road would damage the chassis, and no amount of money would let her go. And so, Xiaoka could only walk after getting off the car. Although she was the successor of Fian's sect, and her Qigong was amazing, walking 10 kilometers in one go was still exhausting. After all, she was a girl, and her stamina wasn't that good to begin with. Damn it, I'm finally here. Yu Xiaoka was on the verge of tears when she saw the tent not far away. She couldn't help but cheer and use her Qigong to run forward. Who are you? Old Hay was still blocking Xiaoka's path with a few men with guns. People from the Fian sect. Yu Xiaoka stopped and said while gasping for breath. You walked here? Old Hay was confused when he saw someone running over, but he didn't expect it to be the Fian sect he was waiting for. He couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Fian sect's people were amazing. Running this far? Yeah. Why didn't you send a car to pick me up? I'm so tired. Xiaoka rubbed her waist and complained. Heavenly King covers Earth Tiger. Old Hay felt that this girl in black was most likely from Fian's sect, but he still asked out of caution. Pagoda bearing Heavenly Kingly. Xiaoka said, All right, I got it. Let me see what the tomb looks like. We should talk about our conditions. Of course. Please come with me. Old Black nodded. He didn't dare to offend the people of the Fian sect. The Fian sect was an established sect in the Thief sect. They had a unique understanding of secret mechanisms. This time, I'm not the only one participating in this grave robbing operation. So, we need to discuss how much we can give you. I don't have the final say. Of course, it all depends on your own ability. Old Black's words were very clear. If you want more benefits, you have to show some ability. If you can enter the tomb smoothly, then it wouldn't be a problem to give you a share. But if you're not good enough, then you won't be of much use. At most, they'll just give you a reward. All right, Xiaoka nodded. Lin, he was training when footsteps came from outside the tent. Lin immediately came back to reality and stood up. Someone's here, but it's not a master. Tian, go take a look. Yu Qian was here as a follower, so Lin, he called him Lil Tian. Chapter 1329. What's the matter? Yu Qian asked faintly. The man paused upon seeing Yu Qian come out. He didn't expect the thief couple's follower to be such a master, noticing him walking over. But he wasn't surprised. Which tomb robber didn't have masters by their side? Even Old Hay had a mystic class master by his side. These people live their lives with their heads hanging on their waists. One wrong move, and they'd die in a tomb. Hey bro wants the two of you to go to his tent. The guests are here, and he wants to have a meeting to discuss the profit sharing. The man didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. All right, you go back first. We'll be right there. Yu Qian nodded. The man didn't say much. This was how the couple were, and they didn't interact much. He turned and left after informing them. Yu Qian went back to the tent and told Lin, Yi, and Lingshan what the man wanted. The man wasn't speaking softly, and Lin, Yi, and Lingshan heard him clearly. The three prepared themselves and left the tent, heading to Old Hay's. Old Hay's tent was the outermost one, in charge of interrogations and security. Lin Yi's tent, on the other hand, was the innermost one, and so by the time they reached Old Hay's tent, the others were already there. With the couple's usual style, they wouldn't take the initiative to greet other people, and so Lin, Yi, and Lingshan found a place to sit down. Yu Tian, on the other hand, stood behind them as a bodyguard. Kung Bro was the leader of a group of tomb robbers, and Kung Bro was just his nickname. As the name suggested, his face was full of holes, as if he had some sort of illness. In short, he was terrifyingly ugly. Old Hao, on the other hand, was an old man in his 50s. According to the information, he was a senior in the tomb raiding industry, highly respected and experienced. This time, Old Black was afraid that he wouldn't be able to take the tomb for himself, and that others would have other ideas, so he got Old how to take charge. The last person was a foreigner named James. But thinking about it, James was just his alias. It was impossible for people in this industry to show their real names. Many foreigners were interested in antiques, but not many of them were here to rob tombs. This James is a capable person. It was said that when the tomb was first discovered, he was there as well, and Kung Bro was there as well. Only Old Hao joined later. All right, everyone's here. It's not the first time we've worked together, so there's no need for introductions. I'll introduce you all to an external helper, a famous one in the Steel Sect, the successor of the Fiend Sect. With that, Old Hay waved his hand, and Xiaoka walked into the tent. Lin Yi and Lingshan paused when they saw Xiaoka enter the tent. Why was she here? But when Old Hay introduced the Fiend Sect, he suddenly remembered that the first time he met Xiaoka, this girl had claimed that she was a disciple of the Fiend Sect and wanted to compete with him. Who would have thought that Xiaoka would be invited by Old Hay as well? Lin Yi and Lingshan exchanged glances, both a bit surprised and a bit alarmed. They couldn't let Xiaoka find out about their identities, at least not in front of everyone. Otherwise, they'd have no chance at all. Everyone knows what the Fiend Sect does, and I'm sure everyone here knows about the traps in the tomb. We don't have much confidence, and Lu Buojia isn't helping us, so we can only ask for external help. Old Hay said, let's split the benefits before we rob the tomb, so we don't have to worry about conflicts later. I agree. We need to have rules when we're working together, otherwise we'll get blinded by greed. Old Hao was the first to agree. He was here to hold the line, so naturally he agreed with Old Hay's point of view. I agree as well. It's better to be clear about this. Kung Bro nodded. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. I agree. James said in a weird tone. I have no objections, Lin Yi said faintly. All right, since no one has any objections, then let's start splitting the benefits. I have a suggestion. I wonder if anyone has any objections? Old Hay said, we found this tomb together, but I was the one who got the clue first, so I should take 30%. Yes, that's a good idea. Everyone nodded. Every profession had its own rules, and as the one who gave the clue, Old Hay naturally had the right to take 30%. Kung Bro, Old Hao, the duo, and James, you guys take 15% each, and the remaining 10% goes to the Sparrow Girl from the Fiend Sect. Old Hay said, of course, the Sparrow Girl needs to show her true strength. Sure. After a moment of silence, Kung Bro, Old Hao, and James all nodded in agreement. There had to be a lot of treasures in this sort of dangerous tomb, but if they didn't have someone powerful, they wouldn't be able to get in. 15% didn't sound like much, but it was still a huge amount of wealth. Moreover, this distribution was clearly the most reasonable. Although Old Black took double, he was the one who put in the most effort. Moreover, after he received the information, he didn't monopolize it. Instead, he shared it with everyone to find the exact location of the ancient tomb. 15% is too little. I want 20. At this moment, Lin Yi spoke up. Lingshan paused, a little annoyed at Lin Yi for messing with her. Even if he won 100%, it wouldn't be his in the end, so why did he have to do this? But Lin Yi had already spoken, and she couldn't go against it. She could only see how Lin Yi would handle this. Oh, Old Hay frowned. He didn't expect the male thief to speak up. But he didn't want to piss off this male thief, since he wasn't much weaker than Buojia and the Fiend Sect. Male thief, how do you think we should split it? I don't care how others split it. I want 20%. Lin Yi said domineeringly. That's... Old Hay sighed. This distribution is the most reasonable. If you want an extra 5%, I wouldn't be able to take it from the others, so I'd have to take it from my share. But why should I give you that extra 5%? Chapter 1330. Linny nodded and didn't say anything else. Lingshan and Yuqian, on the other hand, started to admire Lin Yi. The more Lin Yi was so calculative, the more he fit the image of a thief couple. These people wouldn't suspect anything. Sparrow Girl, what about you? Do you have any objections? Old Hay turned to Xiaoka. I'll give you 10%, and that's according to the rules. Nothing more, nothing less. Technological foreign aid is 10% of the profits. No problem. Xiaoka nodded agreeably. In fact, Old Hay was very fair, since everyone was paying the same price. But let's get this straight up front. If you can't solve anything, then I'll just give you some money and let you go back. Old Hay said, this 10% is still valuable. I understand, Xiaoka said confidently. You know Fian's sex reputation, right? They keep their word. But I want cash for this 10%, not items. What Xiaoka lacked was money, and she had no use for the treasures in the tomb. It would be hard to get rid of them, so she suggested it directly. Sure, but you know the rules. The discount rule is 20% off the market price. Old Hay said, we can't get rid of them immediately. There's always a risk if we keep them in our hands. Understood. Xiaoka nodded. But if you don't want them, I can pick them up, right? That's up to you. Old Hay nodded. Lin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Xiaoka's words. This girl really was a little money grubber. She didn't want to let go of anything at all. Why would she want to pick up things that other people didn't want? But no matter how small a mosquito was, it was still meat. These grave robbers had very high standards, and they wouldn't be interested in normal things. Picking them up would take up too much space, and some small things like gold and silver would be good for Xiaoka. After confirming the division of benefits, there was nothing else to talk about. Old Hay said, since no one has anything to say, then it's settled. I don't want any conflicts of interest. I think with Old How here, everyone can follow the rules. Everyone nodded, but no one knew how much sincerity was in this nod. When the benefits were not big enough, everyone could naturally abide by the rules. But once the benefits were to the point of making people jealous, then it was hard to say. I'll head back first. Lin said faintly as he stood up and walked out of the tent, Ling Shan and Yu Qian following closely behind. Let's all get some rest. We'll enter the tomb together tomorrow morning. Old Black nodded and said. Back in the tent, Ling Shan said immediately, that fiend sect, but Lin put a hand over her mouth and made a shushing gesture. Lin Yi, on the other hand, continued. The fiend school might not be able to do that. We have some key information about this tomb in our hands. Even if they could solve it before, the last step is still up to us. Otherwise, everyone will die. With that, Lin Yi pointed at a corner of the tent. Ling Shan and Yu Tian looked at where Lin Yi was pointing and saw that there was a listening device installed on the side of the tent. Ling Shan's heart skipped a beat. She was lucky. She had been too rash, and if it weren't for Lin Yi's quick reaction, she would have been exposed. She wanted to say that fiend sex flying sparrow girl was Xiaoka. Wasn't that the female thief she was after? Her identity would have been exposed if she said that, and Old Black's assault rifles would have surrounded them. Even if the three of them managed to escape, the mission would have been a failure. Tian, check the inside of the tent, see if anyone did anything to it. After saying that, Lin Yi seemed to have remembered something, ordering Yu Tian. Yes. Yu Tian pretended to check the insides of the tent. It'd be too fake if he found the listening device right away. He wanted to search for a while before taking it out. He'd also check the other parts of the tent to see if anyone had done anything to it. Old Black was listening to Lin Yi and Ling Shan's conversation with a listening device, and he heard Lin Yi telling Yu Tian to check if anyone had done anything to the tent. He was troubled. He thought to himself that this couple was still on guard against others. But that was to be expected. Who wouldn't be on guard in this line of work? He'd asked his men to put a listening device in someone else's tent when they were discussing. Wasn't that to guard against others as well? After hearing Lin Yi's words, Old Black finally understood why Lin Yi was so confident in asking for 20%. He had a trump card. He actually had information on this tomb. Old Black's heart palpitated as he listened to Lin Yi talk about the mechanism. Luckily, he'd agreed to Lin Yi's request. Otherwise, wouldn't they all be dead in the tomb? Wouldn't it be a huge loss if Lin Yi took advantage of them all? Not long after, it was obvious that the male thief's subordinate, Xiao Tian, had found the listening device. There was only a creaking sound, and there was no sound from the earpiece. The listening device had been destroyed. Didn't expect this couple to have a trump card up their sleeves. No wonder they were so cocky. One of Old Black's underlings said. He was in charge of listening to the other tomb robbers, but the others didn't say anything important, and he carefully removed the listening device. Evidently, no one here was an idiot. They were all people with some tricks up their sleeves. Old Black shook his head. This was the only thing he could do. Everyone had spoken nicely, and there wasn't anything wrong with the distribution of benefits. But who knew what would happen tomorrow? Yu Xiaoka didn't bring a tent, but Old Black gave her one. She didn't have the money to buy things from the supply truck, which belonged to another faction in the Steel Sect. There was a group of people in the Steel Sect who didn't participate in tomb robberies, but would go wherever there were tomb robberies to sell their daily necessities. They had everything, but the price was ridiculously high. This line of work had been around for a long time, and they'd gotten permission from a few respected seniors in the sect. Chapter 1331. Familiar? Of course, don't underestimate these people. They had the support of the big bosses of the thief sect. If anyone dared to touch them, they would be ostracized by the entire thief sect. These grave robbers were all rich, and they weren't afraid of the high prices of their daily necessities. Most importantly, they were too lazy to carry it. However, the thief couple was a special case. Although these two people were incomparably arrogant, they were very vigilant. They were always on guard against others trying to harm them. Therefore, regardless of clothing, food, shelter, or transportation, they rarely bought anything from others. Instead, they carried it themselves. Xiaoka knew this rule as well. She carried a backpack filled with biscuits and water, as well as some essential tools. A little money grubber like her wouldn't spend a lot of money on food. After returning to the tent, Xiaoka set up an alarm system before laying down on the mat to sleep. Although they were all from the thief sect, Xiaoka was a girl, and she had to be careful when she was out alone. Today, why does the male thief's voice sound so familiar? Xiaoka murmured to herself. Have I seen him somewhere before? Xiaoka was part of the thieves' sects and had participated in a couple of tomb traps, but she'd never met the couple before. Both of them were wearing masks, and if she'd seen them before, she should have had a deep impression of them, but she hadn't seen them before. Could it be that she'd seen the couple without their masks? Xiaoka froze, shocked by her own bold idea. Was that even possible? Forget it. Xiaoka shook her head and didn't want to think about it anymore. The couple was wearing masks, so it was obvious that they didn't want people to see their real faces. If she went over to see them, they might hold a grudge against her. Xiaoka was here for money. As for other things, she didn't want to cause more trouble. As for Xiaoka, Old Hay didn't eavesdrop. Xiaoka was alone, and he wouldn't be able to get anything out of it. The Fian sect was known for their cautiousness. There was no need for him to do anything unnecessary. On Lin Yi's side, after Yutian removed the bug, Lin Yi glared at Ling Shan. Be careful next time. Think before you speak. Like an idiot. Don't talk about the silly girl. I know I'm in the wrong. Ling Shan blushed, embarrassed by Lin Yi's words. I didn't know these grave robbers were this cunning, planting bugs here. In the future, unless I take the initiative to ask, don't talk about the plan, Lin Yi instructed. The Jade had warned them of danger when they entered the tent, and so Lin Yi subconsciously covered Ling Shan's mouth and said something random, not expecting to actually find a listening device in the tent. I understand. Ling Shan nodded obediently. Chen Yutian learned from Lin Yi. He didn't speak before because he didn't have the time to. Now that he was reminded by Lin Yi, he realized that these tomb robbers were much more cunning than he thought. When are you going to arrest them? Lin Yi asked. With their numbers and weapons, it's not hard for us to escape, but it'll be hard to take them all down. We'll play it by ear. Once all the traps are solved, I'll inform my colleagues to surround this mountain range and take them all. Yu Qin said. All of them? I hope so. Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything else. The map Wujia gave him was already hard enough. Who knew what other traps were waiting for him? This ancient medicine saint was very famous, and he knew a lot of people from all walks of life. The traps in the tomb were all designed by these people, and normal people wouldn't be able to solve them. At night, Lin Yi sat on the ground practicing, while Ling Shan and Yu Qian fell asleep. They needed to recover their stamina and spirit to their peak for tomorrow's operation. The next morning, Lingshan and Yuqian woke up early. They were both practitioners, and while they weren't as good as Lin at staying awake, they could still recover their stamina in a short amount of time. You're awake? Eat something, we'll go to Old Hay's place. Lin, he heard people walking around outside the tent. The other tomb robbers must have woken up as well, but whether or not they were resting wasn't something Lin cared about. You didn't sleep the whole night? Lingshan asked. Yeah, don't ask useless things like that. Let's eat and leave. Lin, he said impatiently. Lingshan didn't dare say anything else. She and Yuqian took a few bites of bread before the three left the tent. As expected, Xiaoke, Kung Bro, and James were all in Old Hay's tent. Only Old Hao wasn't there yet. Old people weren't as energetic as young people. Two thieves, you're up so early as well? Old Hay greeted Lin, and Lingshan with a smile. Ever since he heard what Lin said in the tent yesterday, Old Hay's attitude towards Lin had grown even more respectful. Humph. Lin humphed coldly. You're the one who put the bug in? Huh. My men don't know any better. Don't take offense. Old Hay laughed. Only a couple like this would be able to expose something like this to their face. If it were someone else, they'd be too embarrassed to bring it up. But now that it was out in the open, everything was a lot easier. There was no need to hide it anymore. Now, you don't think 20% is much, right? Lin asked. Naturally. If you can help out in a critical moment, I'm willing to give you that 20%. Old Hay said. Good that you know. With that, Lin found a spot and sat down, closing his eyes to rest. Lingshan sat beside him as well, and Yuqian stood behind Lin and Lingshan like a door god. Xiaoke didn't say anything, just sitting beside Old Hay's tent and drinking the porridge. Old Hay was treating her, so she'd be wasting it. One can cost 10,000. Xiaoke's heart ached as she drank. Wouldn't it be better if she had 10,000? She could buy a cart full of porridge and feed the kids in the orphanage for so long. Chapter 1332. You can have it. And so, Xiaoke complained as she ate. This porridge seller was really scamming her. She'd see if she could steal some money from them after the tomb raid. It was decided. As the saying goes, even thieves have their own rules. In the Steel Sect, they also rely on their own abilities to survive. It's okay to do evil, but must be done skillfully. If they openly rob with weapons, then it's not what the Steel Sect does, it's what the underworld does. However, with the development of the Steel Sect, some people began to break the rules, especially some newcomers, who became impetuous and greedy. However, they didn't dare to be too brazen because of the deterrence of the big bosses of the Steel Sect. They just played some tricks in the dark. The competition on the surface was still based on skills. Whoever was more skillful would get more. Of course, the thief gangs in the city didn't belong to the thief sects anymore, and they didn't care about the rules. That was why Xiaoke got ganged up on that day. Do you want some porridge? Old Hay took out 2 cans and tossed it to Lin. Don't worry, I'm not stupid enough to poison it. Don't be scared with Old Hao here. Plus, I can't ignore what you said yesterday, whether it's true or not. I'm not hungry. Lin took it and put on the table in front of Xiaoke. You can have it. Xiaoke didn't reject it and accepted it. She wouldn't even be willing to drink a few kuai can of 8 treasure porridge, let alone a 10,000 kuai 1 can. Now that Big Head was paying, she wouldn't hold back. Old Hay shrugged and didn't say anything else. The couple's personalities were a little out of place, and these people were used to it already. After a while, Old Hao came to Old Hay's tent with a few of his underlings. He didn't look embarrassed when he saw everyone there. Old Hay, can we start now? I'll go check out the tomb today. Everyone pack up, we're gonna rob the tomb. Old Hay nodded. This time, the profits belong to everyone, and I hope that you guys don't hide yourself. Use whatever skills you have, or no one will get anything good. Of course, it's not the first time we've worked together. Kung Bro nodded in agreement. Although I'm not as experienced as you guys, my technological equipment is top-notch. James said, I'll definitely do my best if I'm needed. Humph, as long as my 20% is not a small amount, there is naturally no problem, Lin said coldly. All right, Old How is here too, so it's settled then. Old Black was obviously a very careful person. He confirmed these things again and again, afraid that there would be any problems. In half an hour, we'll be here, and then we'll go explore the tomb together. Everyone nodded and went back to prepare, but Lin Yi, Ling Shan, and Yu Qian didn't go back, sitting there quietly as if they didn't hear what Old Hay said. Male thief, aren't you going to prepare? Old Black asked. No need, Linny said calmly. We're just exploring the tomb. What's the point of bringing so many things? Do you want to die? Old Hay shrugged and stopped talking to Linny. Talking to this guy was just asking for trouble. The guy's personality was too weird. No wonder he wore a mask all the time. With that temper, he must have a lot of enemies. If people knew what he looked like, he'd die sooner or later. Xiaoka didn't leave, too. She was getting more and more familiar with this male thief. It was a woman's intuition, or rather, a thief's intuition. She kept feeling like she'd seen Lin Yi somewhere before. Old Hay went to pack up, and Xiaoka couldn't help but raise her head and look at Lin Yi curiously. What are you looking at? Do you want to die? Lin Yi knew that Xiaoka had suspicions. Lin Yi had purposely changed his voice, but Xiaoka might still be able to see through it. It was an intuition. Xiaoka stuck her tongue out, but didn't continue asking after seeing Lin Yi's fierce face. Half an hour later, everyone came back with their tools. With Old Hay at the front and the others at the back, they headed towards the tomb. The tomb was at the bottom of a cliff in the mountain range. This kind of cliff, if one didn't know that there was an ancient tomb down there, they wouldn't go down. It was all rocks here, and there was no grass or animals. No one would be dumb enough to go play at the bottom of the cliff. At the edge of the cliff, Old Hay's men started assembling the crane they brought, and in the blink of an eye, a small crane was assembled. My men will stay up there, but for the sake of fairness, your men can stay up there willingly. Old Hay said. The reason for this was because he didn't want Old Hay to come up and leave the others at the bottom, suffocating them to death. Kung Bro, James, and Old How all had people stay up there, but Linny said faintly, I only have 3 people, so there's no need. You'll be the last to go up. That's not a problem. Old Hay paused and nodded. He had the most people up there, so it was fair for him to be the last to go up. Of course, he didn't know that He was only saying that to confuse him. With the height of the cliff, even a golden class wouldn't have a problem jumping down, much less a mystic. When old Lin kicked Lin Yi off the cliff, he didn't fall to his death. There was no way he'd die now. The crane first sent Old Hay, Old How, James, Kung Bro, and Linny down, and then the rest of the men went down one by one. The entrance to the tomb was on the cliff, but this wasn't the real entrance. It was just a robber's hole, and the real entrance was obviously undiscovered. Old Hay, Kung Bro, James, Old How, Xiaoka, and Lin Yi entered the robber's cave. It was a stone room that wasn't too big or too small, and they didn't know what it was used for. There was a door in front of it, but it had already been destroyed by someone. Old Hay bent down and carefully checked the small details on the door. Then he nodded. Looks like everyone is trustworthy and didn't come without permission. Of course, Kung Bro and James nodded. In this line of work, we need to be trustworthy. Chapter 1333. One person was missing. Old Hay smiled awkwardly and didn't reply. He waited for all his subordinates to arrive before walking into the tomb. Outside the room was a long corridor that connected the left and right sides. Old Hay took the left path. Lin Yi didn't know much about the situation in the tomb, and the couple's work log didn't mention much about it. Boyjia, on the other hand, had given some guesses about the traps in the tomb, but he neglected the simple safety zones when they first entered the tomb. As a result, Lin Yi didn't say much as he followed Old Hay and the others into the dark tomb. Old Hay had a searchlight, but the tomb didn't have any sunlight at all, and it still looked eerie and scary. It was fine at first, but after walking for a few dozen meters, waves of cold air hit them in the face. There was an indescribable moldy and rotten smell that made their hair stand on end. Fortunately, the ground of the tomb was relatively flat and there were no obstacles. This allowed these people to walk at a very fast pace. After walking for a long time, there was a faint click sound. Then, everything turned dark. All of them were expert grave robbers. Naturally, they did not believe in demons or ghosts. However, the sudden darkness caused them to stop in their tracks. Damn, the searchlight ran out of battery? Did it just charge yesterday? Old Hay cursed at the front of the team. Who charged it yesterday? Brother Hay. I just checked it and tested the remaining battery. There's no problem. A big man said carefully. What the hell? Who has a torchlight? Give me one. Hay shook his head. The probability of the searchlight suddenly breaking down was less than 1%. He did not expect that this would be such a bad start. However, it was too late to go back and get a new searchlight. Moreover, they had only brought one searchlight this time. This thing was huge, and it was connected to a large battery. It was quite inconvenient to carry around, so they only brought one when they entered the tomb. Someone handed Old Hay a torchlight. However, the light from the torchlight was especially weak in the dark tomb. The searchlight couldn't even reach the end, let alone the light from the torchlight. However, it was better than nothing. Although he couldn't see it clearly, he could make do with it. Those at the back, hold each other's hands. Don't fall behind. Old Hay shouted to the people behind him before turning to another man. Mr. Chio, please cover the back and scatter some lime powder along the way. Don't get lost. Yes, Black Bro. Mr. Chio nodded and ran to the back of the group. Lin, he looked at this Mr. Chio. He was a golden class early phase peak. Who would have thought that Old Hay would have someone like that by his side? After giving the order, Blackie continued walking with the flashlight. After walking for a few hundred meters, he still couldn't see the end. Lenny frowned, but seeing that no one said anything, he didn't say anything either. After another few hundred meters, Old Hay suddenly stopped in his tracks, and the whole team came to a halt. No, we're going the wrong way. Lao Hay suddenly exclaimed and turned around. A trace of uneasiness flashed across his eyes. Something's wrong. Last time, we only walked for about 10 minutes to reach the entrance of the underground palace. This time, we walked for about half an hour. There's still a path ahead. No way. How could this be? James exclaimed. How did you lead the way? Fuck. I knew something wasn't right. Why are we taking so long? My legs are gonna go numb. Kung Bro also complained. Stop arguing. Old Hay, what's going on? Old Hao spoke up, interrupting them. He was the only one who hadn't been to the tomb before, so naturally he didn't feel anything wrong. Old Hao, I think we're going the wrong way. This path seems endless. We need to go back. Old Hay said. What us? You're the one who went the wrong way. Kung Bro complained. All right, now's not the time to push the blame away. Old Hay didn't mean it. Let's go back and talk. Old Hao was an experienced man. After all, he wasn't too nervous right now. That's the only way. Mr. Chio, lead the way back along the limestone line. We're going back. Old Hay said to Mr. Chio, but no one answered. Mr. Chio, did you hear me? Old Hay called again. Still no answer. Mr. Chio? Old Hay's face finally changed as he called again. Just then, a scream came from the back of the team. Old Hay subconsciously ran to the back of the group. The others also turned their gazes to the back of the group. At the back of the group, one of the subordinates was holding a broken arm, screaming in horror. There was also a bloody shirt on the severed arm. It was Mr. Chio's. Mr. Chio. Old Hay looked at the severed arm in shock, speechless. After a while, he roared, Where's Mr. Chio? Why is there only half an arm left? I don't know. The man holding the arm was pale as well. You called for Mr. Chio before, and I didn't hear a reply, so I turned around to look, but I didn't see anything, and I didn't touch anything. All I have left is half an arm. The team was already a little restless because they'd gone the wrong way, and now that something like this had happened, it was even more shocking. Old Hay's face was very unsightly. If he didn't know how strong Mr. Chio was, he would have suspected that it was this man's doing. But Mr. Chio was a golden class early phase peak. What kind of master was he to be able to kill him without making a sound? Who did it? Who did it? Old Hay was a little agitated. Mr. Chio was his biggest support, and now he'd been killed without a sound. Plus, was there anyone in the team who could do this? Chapter 1334. One could see how strong the enemy was. Could it be an Earth class? There was an Earth class hiding here, and he didn't notice? Lin Yi's eyes scanned through everyone present, but he found nothing. There were a few masters in the team, but the strongest one was only a golden class late phase peak, not even a mystic. However, the strongest expert that these grave robbers could hire was only a golden rank. After all, even a mystic rank would not risk their life for them. This profession of grave robbing was too dangerous, and there was the risk of dying at any time. It was better to be a bodyguard for a rich family. Plus, a lot of mystic class masters were recruited by the noble houses, and there weren't many of them among the commoners, let alone an Earth class. However, at this moment, a person was really dead, and he didn't even know how he died. There was another possibility, which was that the killer wasn't in the team. He wasn't a member of the team, but someone hiding in the dark. After killing someone, he went into hiding. Of course, the other possibility was that there was an Earth-class physical practitioner in the group, and when he didn't show his strength, Lin Yi's golden finger wouldn't work on him. But one had to know how hard it was to become a physical Earth class. Even a noble house like Chun Tian didn't have a physical Earth class. Mr. Chio's death made everyone's faces change, especially old Hao. He looked at Kung Bro, James, Lin Yi, and Ling Shan sharply. Which one of you did it? What's in it for you? We're all lost. We can't go back. You're just hurting yourself and others. Aren't you? Old Hao, that's not right. Why do we kill him? Kung Bro wasn't happy. Couldn't it have been that Chio guy who killed himself? Why don't you ask Old Black? Maybe he did this on purpose to frame us and take all the benefits in the tomb for himself. Bullshit. Even if I wanted to kill myself, I wouldn't let Mr. Chio do it. Old Hay was about to explode. His master had died for no reason, and he was being suspected as well. Mr. Chio is a golden class early phase peak master that I hired with a high price. How could I let him die like that? I have so many minions, but I want the experts to die. Am I crazy? He's already dead. Even if you say he's at the profound stage, we can't verify it. Kung Bro said coldly. All right, let's talk about what we should do first. Old Hao waved his hand and said helplessly, Old Hay, this path isn't right. Something's wrong. It took us 10 minutes to walk 500 or 600 meters to reach the entrance, but it's been half an hour now, and we're still not there. It's still dark. We must have gone the wrong way. Old Hay shook his head. I was afraid that we'd gone the wrong way. That's why I asked Mr. Chio to cover us, but who knows what you're thinking? Did you deliberately go the wrong way? Brother Kong had a bad temper. He was full of anger, so he took it out on Brother Hay. Fuck you. Say another word, Old Kong, and I'll shoot you. Old Hay was furious and sullen, pulling out his gun and pointing it at Kung Bro. Shoot if you dare. Kung Bro scolded, knowing that Old Hao was here and that Old Hay didn't dare do anything rash. Old Hay, don't you dare. Old Hao yelled as well. Bang! A gunshot rang out, and Old Hay really did shoot. If Old Hao hadn't said that, Old Hay wouldn't have acted so rashly. But Old Hao's do you dare made Old Hay's heart pound. Why wouldn't I dare? Fuck! I don't even know how my expert died. I'm already pissed off enough, and you're still saying that I'm acting? So what if I kill you with one shot? Old Hay was on the verge of breaking down. Kung Bro didn't even have time to scream before Old Hay shot him dead. Everyone was dumbfounded, looking at Old Hay in horror. James and his men pulled out their guns and pointed at Old Hay. He didn't want to become the second Kung Bro. Old Hay, what are you doing? Why did you kill him? Old Hao yelled. Lenny looked at him coolly. He didn't know if the guy was really stupid, or if he was just faking it, or was he just using his seniority. He'd provoked Old Hay so much, it would be weird if he didn't shoot. Old Hao, you saw it too. He wanted to die. He said if I didn't shoot, then I'd be stupid, so I had to shoot. Old Hay hemped coldly and turned to James. Don't make a fuss, or we'll all die together. At this time, Old Hay's men all raised their guns, aiming at Kung Bro and James' men. All right, even if Old King's words are bad, there's no need to kill him. I'm here, aren't I? Old House said helplessly. Right now, the most important thing is to run for our lives, not fight amongst ourselves. Old King's men, if you want to follow us, then follow us. If you want to get revenge for Old Kung, then fight Old Hay. I won't interfere. Once we're done, we'll go back. Old King's underlings, except for the two confidants, would no longer work for him when they saw that Old Kong was dead. Thinking of this, everyone put down their guns. The two confidants suddenly attacked, but they were shot dead by Old Hay's underlings. It was obvious that Old Hay had the advantage in numbers. Getting revenge for Old Kung wasn't a smart choice. All right, let's go back. Old House said faintly, not saying anything else. The group of people still held hands and slowly walked back the way they came. This time, they didn't dare to walk as fast as when they came. They just took small steps, but they didn't go far. These people had to stop. In front of them was a fork in the road. No one remembered which fork they came from, and there were no traces of lime on the ground. Mr. Chiu was obviously dead by now. What do we do? The people in front stopped and turned to ask. James opened his mouth, wanting to blame Old Hay. He was the one leading the way, and that was why everyone got lost. But then he remembered how Old Hay had shot Old Kong, and he shut his mouth. He was the only foreigner here, and if a fight broke out, he'd be at a disadvantage. Chapter 1335. Xiaoka frowned. There was no difference between the two passageways, and they looked the same from the outside. She really couldn't tell the difference. I can't tell. Either there aren't any signs or symbols here, and there aren't any traps, either. It's just two passageways I can't tell. Xiaoka said straightforwardly. She didn't want them to get lost because of her judgment. Old Hay, what do you think? Old Hal looked at Old Hay, a little disappointed. I don't know either. Blackie shook his head. This tomb was very strange. There were no signs at all, and he couldn't find any clues. He didn't know how the builders used it, but they probably brought a map with them every time they came. Then we'll go left. This time, we'll all sprinkle some lime powder on the ground and walk forward. I'll cover the back. There shouldn't be a problem. Old House said after a sigh. All right, I agree. Old Hay thought about it. It was a good idea, and with Old Howe covering the back, there wouldn't be any problems. I agree. James nodded. At this time, he had no choice but to agree. If he didn't agree, would he have to go to the right? Wouldn't that be more dangerous? All right, it's decided then. Old Howe nodded. You guys go left, I'll go right. Lin, he said faintly. As they got closer to the left, the jade on Lin Yi's chest started alerting him. Evidently, there wasn't anything good here, and so Lin Yi chose the right. What? You guys aren't going with the rest? Old Howe's face darkened at Lin Yi's disagreement. He was the one who suggested going left. I want to go right. Is there a problem? Lin Yi hemphed coldly. Up to you. Let's go. Old Howe said to the others with a cold smile, pissed at Lin Yi's insensitivity. Old Hay frowned, suddenly remembering what he'd overheard yesterday, Lin Yi's words. Could it be that Lin Yi had full confidence? Otherwise, why wouldn't he go left with the rest? With that thought, Old Hay hesitated. Old Howe, let's go right. What? You trust him? Old Howe's face turned even uglier. I agree with the right. Xiaoka spoke up as well. She didn't know why, but she didn't like this Old Howe at all, so she decided to support the couple. At that moment, Lin Yi was already walking to the right, with Ling Shan and Chun Yutian following close behind. Old Hay hesitated, but brought his men with him. Lin Yi's confidence only increased after seeing how confident Lin Yi was. Xiaoka walked in as well, and James hesitated for a bit before following them in. Anger flashed in Old Howe's eyes. He was the one with the most authority in the group, but now no one listened to him. Even Old Hay, who'd invited him, listened to the couple. It pissed him off, but now that everyone was gone, he couldn't go to the left alone. He coughed and followed helplessly with his men. The right path wasn't long, and after a while, they came to another fork. Left and right again. This time, everyone was dumbfounded. Why were there two more paths? Previously, because it was behind him and the cave was pitch black, he didn't notice it. Now that he noticed it, it was already too late. How do we go? Old Hay looked at Lin Yi, hesitating. He didn't know if Lin Yi was confident or not. Let me take a look. Lin Yi stood near the two paths, sensing the danger within. But what Lin Yi found strange was that the jade didn't warn them. Were they both safe? Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't make up his mind. Why aren't you going? Old House spoke up. You're not leaving, are you? I told you to go left before, but you guys didn't listen, insisting on going right with him. Old Blackie was a bit shaken by Old How's words. Are you sure about this, male thief? I didn't ask you to come. You came on your own. Lin Yi said faintly, not giving Old Hay any hints. You can go back if you don't want to. Let's go, follow me back. We'll go left. Old House said. Old Hay and James looked at each other. They could see the hesitation in each other's eyes. Lin Yi looked at Old How, but continued walking to the right path. Since there was no danger, he'd just take one. There was a saying that all roads lead to Rome. They might be able to get out of here. Ling Shan and Yu Qian, on the other hand, trusted Lin Yi 100%. Especially Yu Qian. He was someone who'd survived the jungle with Lin Yi, and Lin Yi was a very strong instructor. He could easily avoid the enemy's traps in the jungle, and he had sharp senses and senses. Yu Qian didn't suspect Lin Yi at all. Old Hay saw that Lin Yi was leaving, and after some hesitation, he followed. As far as he could see, the couple were arrogant people, but they were very careful. These two treasured their lives, and wouldn't do something that would kill them. Old Hay followed, and so did Xiaoka. James hesitated, but followed as well. Old How, on the other hand, had a displeased look on his face. After another 100 meters or so, Lin Yi stopped abruptly. Male thief, what's wrong now? Old Hay paused. There wasn't a fork in the road. Why did Lin Yi stop? Look behind you. Lin Yi turned around and said faintly. Lin Yi was more attentive this time, and noticed that there was a slight dip in the hallway when he was walking. If he wasn't mistaken, this should be the intersection of the two caves. Sure enough, there were two passageways behind them. They were exactly the same as the passageways they had seen before, and these people had come out from the right passageway. There's another tunnel, Old Hay said, shocked. If I'm not wrong, we'd come out from here if we went from the left. These two tunnels are connected. With that, Lin Yi didn't stop. Chapter 1336. After a while, there were 3 forks in the road. All 3 entrances were exactly the same. People without a map would have been lost by now. Lin Yi stood at the entrance of the 3 forks, testing it out before going to the right. The other 2 jade pendants reacted, especially the one in the middle. Naturally, Lin Yi went back to the one on the right. The people behind him continued to follow, and even Old How didn't say anything this time. After another few 100 meters, Lin Yi stopped again. There was still no exit in front of him. Old Hay, on the other hand, subconsciously looked back as well, but there wasn't any passageway. He didn't know what Lin Yi was doing. Your man died here, Lin Yi said faintly. Old Hay was stunned. He quickly shone the flashlight on the ground. With the weak light, there was indeed a pool of blood not far from the cave floor. However, if one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it at all. So that means this is the right way? We didn't go the wrong way? James said happily. Old How's face darkened, but he said, all roads lead to Rome. We might be able to get here from the left as well. But at this time, no one would argue with him. At this time, everyone saw the joy of success. Everyone finally walked out. But where's Mr. Chio's body? Old Hay looked around curiously, but didn't find a body. I don't know. Lin Yi said, I have no obligation to find a body for you. If you want to look, then stay and look. No, I'll go with you. Old Hay trusted Lin Yi completely now. Thank God he heard what Lin Yi said yesterday. That made him trust Lin Yi so much. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go back alive today. This time, there were traces of lime on the ground, evidently from Mr. Chio. But he didn't see Mr. Chio's body along the way, which confirmed Lin Yi's guess. There was a master in this tomb. Of course, Mr. Chio was too far from Lin Yi, and with so many people holding hands, the line was very long, so Lin Yi didn't sense the master's aura. But if this person had gotten close, Lin Yi would have been able to sense it. This is the place. After a while, Lin Yi stopped and turned. We went the wrong way here. Everyone turned their heads after hearing Lin Yi's words. As expected, there was another cave behind them. Evidently, they had entered the wrong cave. That's right, I remember now, there was a rock blocking this entrance, and now that it's gone, I went the wrong way. I was looking for it, but I didn't know it was taken away. Old Hay slapped his forehead in realization. Who took it away? Lenny frowned. It seemed like he'd been dragged into a trap without realizing it. And the person behind this trap had an Earth class helping them. He'd thought that having a mystic class among the tomb robbers would be the best. But he wasn't expecting this. But he didn't regret coming to this tomb. Even if he knew that there was an Earth class here, he still had to come. There were things that a man should do and shouldn't do. He had to come for Xiao Xiao, no matter how dangerous or difficult it was. Even if the enemy was an Earth class. If you want to stop me, I'll blow you up with an energy bomb. After blowing you up, I might live, but even if you don't die, you'll be crippled. So the appearance of an Earth class gave Yi some pressure. But it didn't stop Yi's determination to continue exploring the tomb. Someone's been in the tomb. James also remembered the stones here and exclaimed, "Someone came to this ancient tomb before us." But some of the small marks that I have placed at the entrance of the old tomb have not been destroyed. Old Hay knit his brows and doubtfully said, "Although one can enter the old tomb without destroying those small marks, if one's qin gong reaches a certain level. The crux of the matter is that other than me, no one else knows what those small marks are." Yi snorted at Old Hay's words. Even he could enter the tomb without breaking the markings, let alone an Earth class. He was underestimating Mystic class and above. Only the few of us know about this tomb. Who came in first? James frowned as well. The two looked at each other and suddenly shifted their gaze to Yi. He didn't know how to react to the two suspecting him. He didn't know if the real couple had been here before, but he was the fake one. This was the only reason why he'd been impersonating them. Oomph. If I was the one who did this, why would I bring you guys out? Are you retarded? He smiled coldly. The two were used to Yi's way of talking, but Yi was right. If it was him, he wouldn't have to bring them out. But could it really be the dead, Old Kung? Now that he was dead, there was no proof. That's true. It's all thanks to the male thief this time. I think it's that bastard Old King's doing. Old Hayhemph. I'm going to the underground palace. Are you guys going back or following? He didn't have time to waste with them. He was here for the fire spirit's fruit. Nothing else mattered to Yi. I think we should go back first, discuss, and come up with a plan. Old House suggested. Today's been such a bad day, and 2 people died, one of whom we don't even know how he died. If we don't get to the bottom of this, it'll be weird. Oh, then you guys go back. Yi said faintly. To the biggest enemy in this tomb was the Earth class. Everyone else was nothing to Yi. Male thief, I think Old How's right. Old Hay said after a sigh. Without Mr. Chio's protection, Old Hay was at a disadvantage. Evidently, he wanted to go back and find some more masters to protect him. Chapter 1337. Yi didn't care if these people were following him or not. But Lingshan looked at Yi and gave him a meaningful look. Yi remembered immediately that this trip to the tomb was Lingshan and Yutian's mission. Their main mission was to capture these tomb robbers, and exploring the tomb was just a side mission. So these people's whereabouts were very important. Lingshan didn't want to explore the tomb alone. She wanted to keep an eye on the robbers at all times, and if anything happened, she'd be able to call for reinforcements to surround the place. She was afraid that these people would think that the tomb was too dangerous and give up on this mission. If that were the case, it'd be a lot harder to capture them once they left, so Lingshan suggested going back first. Yi sighed. He was worried, but Xiao Xiao was already frozen in the coffin, so there shouldn't be any problems anytime soon. It didn't matter if they went back a day or a day later, since the tomb wasn't going to run away. Even if the robbers gave up, he could still explore the tomb himself. All right, let's go back then. We'll decide after we discuss. He nodded. Old Howe breathed out in relief, his smile widening. We should all work together, right? What if something goes wrong? The people going back were the same as when they came, riding the rope crane. Only 2 people were missing, Old Kung and Mr. Chio. Mr. Chio was easy to deal with, but Old Kung still had a few henchmen up there. He didn't know what Old Hay was going to do with them, Or perhaps Old Hay had already informed his men to get rid of them. After the group went up, they didn't see any of Old Kang's men, only a few who had surrendered to Old Hay. That was how it was. When the tree falls, the monkeys scattered. Old Kang was dead, and his men would only be killed if they fought to the end. However, Lin Yi did not care about these things. Old Hay was just a tragic pawn. Although it seemed that he had taken advantage of Old Kang and absorbed his men, Lin Yi felt that he was being used. An invisible net had enveloped everyone, and an invisible ghostly hand was pushing everyone in the direction he had predicted. Lin Yi looked at them coldly, not saying anything as he walked back to the tent with Ling Shan and Yu Tian. He turned around after 2 steps, looking at Xiaoke. Be careful, it's too dangerous here. With your skills, you better go back. Xiaoke paused and wanted to say something, but Lin Yi had already left. This scene didn't attract much attention. The thief couple had a mean personality, and they were always direct with everyone they talked to. Old Hay thought that Lin Yi was mocking Xiaoke's uselessness, indirectly conveying his dissatisfaction to Old Hay. Could it be that the couple wasn't happy with the distribution? It was no wonder, after all, that Old Kang had died today, and the 15% he had was empty. Could it be that the couple was drooling over the 15%? With that thought, Old Hay's face darkened. He knew that it would be impossible to explore the tomb without Lin Yi's help. These people had almost gotten lost in there. If he didn't give Lin Yi more, Lin Yi might just leave and come back later to rob the tomb himself. Old Hay would have nothing to do then. With the couple's personality, there was no way they'd do something as unreasonable as this. Old Hay hesitated, but decided to give Lin Yi a portion of the profits if he was the one who brought it up. After all, Lin Yi was a very important person. Everyone rest for a bit, and then come to my tent later. We'll discuss our next plan. Old Hay said to the people present, Please give us some suggestions, Master Haunf. Some people don't even care about an old man like me anymore. Old Hao humphed coldly as he watched Lin Yi leave. Old Hay, don't bring people who don't follow orders with us anymore. Old Hao, that's how the couple is, but they're really skilled. We can't leave them out for this tomb raid. Old Black said, a little troubled. He wasn't too happy with Old Hao, and he shouldn't have told the old man. He was just taking advantage of his seniority, and it was useless, but he was causing so much trouble. But it was easier to invite a god and then to send him away. Since this Old Hao was here, they couldn't just let him go. Old Hay could only explain, troubled. It's just luck, it's no big deal. Old Hao humphed. Lin Yi, Ling Shan, and Yu Qian went back to the tent, and the first thing Yu Qian did was check the listening device. Lin Yi waved his hand. Don't waste your energy. Old Hay wouldn't be stupid enough to do something like that again. He doesn't dare piss us off right now. Plus, there was one more thing Lin Yi didn't say. Lin Yi's jade didn't send out any alarms. This meant that the tent was safe, and there was nothing wrong. That's right. Old Hay and the others still need you to explore the tomb. But Lin Yi, how did you know which path led out? Yu Qian nodded, surprised at what Lin Yi had done today. Although he knew it before, Lin Yi's detection abilities were strong, but there were no clues in this tomb at all, and Lin Yi just walked out without any mistakes. Intuition, do you believe me? Lin Yi smiled. He didn't know how to explain his jade pendant, so he shrugged and said, That's right. Yu Qian paused, nodding. Of course I do. Why wouldn't I? Lin Yi smiled. All right, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the tomb. You two need to prepare yourself. There's probably a master in this tomb raiding group. Master? You mean the one who killed Mr. Chiu? Ling Shan and Yu Tian weren't stupids. They understood immediately. That Mr. Chiu, is he really a golden class early phase peak? Chapter 1338. Of course, there was one more thing he didn't say. Other than poison and assassination, the person who attacked Mr. Chiu had done it in the most violent way possible. He'd killed Mr. Chiu outright, not poisoned or assassinated. Because to kill Mr. Chiu without the person in front noticing, neither assassination nor poison were possible. Either way, Mr. Chiu's body would freeze momentarily, and the person in front would notice something was wrong. They would turn around to check, and That would be a failure of his plan to kill Mr. Chiu without anyone noticing. So if he didn't want the person in front to notice, he'd have to cut off Mr. Chiu's hand and kill him at the same time. He'd have to kill Mr. Chiu before he could even react to the pain. Of course, this wouldn't count as an assassination, but a clear kill. Lin, he didn't have the confidence to do this. But this unknown enemy had done it. Plus, Lin, he didn't even sense this person's presence. Of course, the jade didn't warn him, either. This meant that when this person killed Mr. Chiu, his target was only Mr. Chiu, and he didn't have any ill intentions towards him, Ling Shan, Yu Qian, or even Xiaoke. The jade's warning function was very interesting, and sometimes even Lin, he didn't understand it. It was as if it could see into his heart. It only worked on friends and not enemies, and it didn't work on other people that Lin Yi treated as strangers or friends that were out of range. This was similar to the party system in some online games, which only worked on the same team members on the same map. Earth class. Ling Shan and Yu Qian were quite shocked by Lin Yi's words. They looked at each other, their mouths wide open. Isn't that a master from the legendary hidden houses and sex? Both of them were from noble houses, and they naturally knew what an Earth class represented. Even a mystic late-phase peak was a rare sight. I don't know about that. The world is full of strange things. From what you see, maybe Earth classes only exist in the hidden houses and sex. That's what you see on the surface. But maybe in the common world, some dark forces have masters like that in their hands, like the tomb raiding groups this time. Lin Yi said, "Yeah." Ling Shan realized. My thinking was limited, but I was limited to the obvious, and I forgot about these criminal organizations. If this Earth rank master really exists, then I don't recommend going against him. I don't have the confidence to do anything to him. It'll be even more difficult for your men to capture him. If he wants to protect someone and escape, no one can stop him. Lin Yi reminded them indifferently. So, you should change your plans. Don't do it if you know it's impossible. Actually, if Lin Yi really wanted to fight this Earth class to the death, he might not lose. But Lin Yi had big business in the tomb, and as long as the Earth class didn't stop Lin Yi from finding the fruit, he could do whatever he wanted. Lin Yi didn't care. As for whether Ling Shan and Yu Qian could complete the mission, Lin Yi didn't really care. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't care, but the situation was special, and Lin Yi had to prioritize Xiao Xiao. Everything else was secondary. Ling Shan and Yu Qian smiled bitterly, silent. Of course, they knew how strong an Earth class was. Mystic class was already very strong in the common world, let alone an Earth class. If even Lin Yi said he didn't have the confidence, then he really didn't have the confidence. They didn't know which tomb robber had the ability to get an Earth class to help them. We can only play it by ear. Ling Shan sighed. I couldn't stop old He in time when he tried to kill someone today. I really didn't know what to do. Ling Shan, naturally, didn't want the suspect to die in the middle of an internal strife. If he died, it'd be hard for him to get his loot back. One dead means one less. I'll only be able to confirm which side that Earth class is on if more of them die. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. Ling Shan and Yu Qian were silent, thinking about it for a while before changing their plans. Lin Yi, on the other hand, called House Chu's villa. After a while, Gooden's voice came from the other side. Hello? How are you? Gooden, it's me. How's your family? Lin Yi didn't expect Gooden to become so polite after being here for a while. He even knew how to say you. Boss, it's you. Gooden was excited when he heard Lin Yi's voice. Everything's fine at home. I sent the 3 sisters-in-law to school this morning, and I'll pick them up at night. Don't worry, boss. I won't let anyone touch a single hair on them. I'll kill anyone who dares. All right. Lin Yi smiled. Right? How's General Wei Wu? Go to the police station later and give General Wei Wu to an officer called Lu Wangli. I'll talk to him. General Wei Wu? All right. Gooden nodded. All right. I'll send it over in a bit. What happened in the tomb today made Lin Yi think of General Wei Wu. If General Wei Wu was here, then he'd have less trouble and more confidence. After all, dogs had a sharp sense of smell, and this was also a backup plan that Lin Yi had. It would be great if he couldn't fight against that Earth rank master, but if he did, he would play with an energy bomb and kill him. Then, he would have General Wei Wu as his golden finger to repair his damaged meridians and regain his strength. Lin Yi was afraid that without General Wei Wu by his side, he'd die in the tomb. After the call, with Gooden, Lin Yi told Ling Shan to call Lu Wangli and arrange for him to send the dog over, while Lin Yi drove out himself. In the Xiao family's villa, Xiao Ji called Xiao Ben from the company in a hurry. In the Xiao family, Xiao Ben was the one who took care of the business, and Xiao Ji, on the other hand, was happy to be the head of the house. He didn't care about anything, just having the title of head of the house. But for Xiao Ji, this was the best way. Big brother, why did you call me back so urgently? What happened? Xiao Ben hurried home and asked as soon as he entered the door. Chapter 1339. Oh, Lenny went out. Who told you that? Is it reliable? Xiao Ben's eyes lit up. Absolutely. I saw Lin Yi leave the villa yesterday with my own eyes, and I was worried today. So I sent Xiao Wangdao and Xiao Wangba to Lin Yi's school to ask around. Lin Yi really didn't go to school. Xiao Ji said, how about this? Let's confirm it again. If Lin Yi really isn't there, then we'll make our move. Xiao Ben sighed. He didn't want to miss this opportunity. After all, he'd been wanting to make a move on Pengzhan for a long time now. Actually, brother, the two masters from House Pai have already healed. With their strength, even if Lin Yi was there, it wouldn't be a problem. We'll let them cripple Lin Yi. Xiao Ji said, with the two masters from House Pai, as long as it's not that hero, crippling Lin Yi and Li Fu would be a piece of cake. That's true, but that's only if the two masters from House Pai help. If they don't help, then everything would be for naught. Xiao Ben said, if they're willing to help, then we don't even need to talk to Pengzhan anymore. We'll just let them cripple Lin Yi and Li Fu, capture Meng Yao, and ask Pengzhan for money. Let's see if he'll give it to us. Brother, I think we should talk to them and tell them our intentions. Most of the profits we get will belong to House Pai. After all, as long as there's profit, they'll definitely help. Xiao Ji's thoughts were simple. There was money to be made, so why wouldn't they help? You don't say, brother, you're right. Even if we take down House Chu, most of the profits will still belong to House Pai. If they don't help, then who would? Xiao Ben slapped his thigh, feeling enlightened. Xiao Ben was always thinking in a complicated way, thinking that the two masters from House Pai wouldn't be controlled by the Xiao family. But he neglected an important point. What the Xiao family was doing right now was also benefiting House Pai. And so, Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji found two masters from House Pai and told them about their plan to deal with House Chu. Of course, Xiao Ben didn't forget to mention that doing this was also to earn money for House Pai. Pengzhan's business was huge, and it would be a huge deal if he were to just give some of it to Lin Yi. Of course not. Pai Yangyang nodded without hesitation. He was beaten up and sent to the hospital. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a mystic class master, his body's recovery speed was super strong, and he had House Pai's special healing medicine, he didn't know how many months he would have to stay in the hospital. However, he had nowhere to vent his anger. Now that the Chu family had a punching bag, he naturally wouldn't let them off. Mr. Pai nodded and said, let's take it as a warm-up exercise. That's great. Since the two experts don't have any objections, let's hurry up and make our move tonight, Xiao Ben said. Meng Yao will be out of school tonight, and Li Fu, the golden class early phase physical practitioner, will be there to pick them up. Lin Yi might appear as well, but it's not certain. Don't hold back when the time comes. Just injure or cripple Li Fu and Lin Yi, preferably killing them. Then capture Meng Yao, and the mission will be complete. Leave the rest to me. That's easy, no problem. Pai Yangyang nodded proudly. What level is Lin Yi at? A mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner? Yes, a mystic mid-phase spiritual practitioner. Xiao Ben nodded. Naturally, he didn't know that Lin Yi was already a mystic mid-phase peak. A small mystic mid-phase, I can kill him with one slap. Pai Yangyang nodded. He was a typical bully. Tonight, the two of you, along with Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao, go intercept Meng Yao's car. They know which car it is. Let them point it out from afar. It's not good for us two brothers to appear there, Xiao Ben said. All right, no problem. Pai Yangyang patted his chest and promised. Wang Dao and Wang Ba were very happy that they were given such a heavy responsibility. It was quite an honor to go on a mission with two mystic class masters. And so, Xiao Wang Dao and Xiao Wang Ba immediately contacted Wu Qintian, who was closer to them. Wu bro, it's Wang Ba. Wang Ba dialed Qintian's number. Wu bro, are you free tonight? No, what's wrong? Qintian had nothing to do other than thinking about how to chase after Sun Jingyi. He hadn't been to his company many times, and it was purely for showing off. It's like this, Wu bro. Don't you hate that Lenny brat? Today, two of our Xiao family's house pie masters are planning to kidnap Meng Yao, and they might get into a fight with Li Fu and Lin Yi. My dad already told them to kill Lin Yi. Wu bro, are you interested in coming over? Wang Ba asked. Kill Lin Yi? Qintian paused. He hated Lin Yi, but he only wanted to mess with him and chase him away from Sun Jingyi. As for killing Lin Yi, that was something he never thought about. He might be arrogant and cocky, but he wasn't a sinister person. So, when he heard that Xiao family wanted to kill Lin Yi, he was shocked. But this was Xiao family's business, and they had the support of the hidden house pie. Naturally, Qintian couldn't say anything about it. He hoped that Sun Jingyi wouldn't blame him when she found out. He was a golden class master. How could he fight a mystic late phase peak of the hidden house pie? Even House Wu wasn't a match for them. Yeah, that Lin Yi is a mystic as well. This is a battle between masters, and it's a physical master fighting a spiritual master. Wu bro, aren't you a physical master too? Come and watch. I'm sure you'll learn something. Wang Ba said. Qintian didn't want to go at first. He was afraid that Sun Jingyi would ignore him even more after knowing the truth, but after hearing Wang Ba's words, he changed his mind. Yes, a battle between masters, especially a physical practitioner, it'd be very beneficial for him if he could observe it. Perhaps even a small movement would benefit him a lot. And so Qintian's heart started to itch again. Chapter 1340. Then it's settled. Wu bro, drive to Xiao family's villa later. We'll go together. Wang Ba said. All right, I'll definitely go. Qintian nodded. The reason why Xiao family asked Qintian to come was to show House Wu the strength of Xiao family, to let them see how strong the hidden house pie's practitioners were. This way, through House Wu's mouth, they could let the other noble houses know that Xiao family wasn't to be messed with. How was it? Xiao Bin quickly asked after Wang Ba hung up. He has agreed to watch the battle. Xiao Wang Ba nodded. That's good. This time, we must make Xiao family famous. The noble house meeting is about to be held, and with House Pai's support, we'll definitely get a good position. Xiao Bin said proudly. At night, Ergooden sat in Falbert's Bentley and went to Songshan's first school. Ergooden sat in the front passenger seat like a bodyguard, his eyes wide open, watching everything outside the window. This was a mission given to him by boss Lin Yi, and he couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Falbert looked at Ergooden's serious face, and he couldn't help but find it funny. Where did Lin Yi find this weirdo? Soon, Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Tang Yun came out of the school. The three of them seemed to be in a bad mood, and they weren't used to suddenly having one less person. The three got in the car, and Meng Yao nodded to Ergooden as a greeting. Falbert started the car, and it slowly drove to House Chu's villa. Originally, it was a calm matter, but suddenly a van without a license plate overtook and stopped in front of Uncle Fu's Bentley. Behind the Bentley, there's also an off-road vehicle blocking the way. The Bentley was pincered from the front and back, forcing it to be unable to move. Falbert stopped the car with a serious expression. The scene where he was stopped by Ma Zhu was still vivid in his mind. Not long after, a similar scene happened again. Miss Chu, please stay in the car. I'll go down to take a look. Falbert said sternly. Although Falbert knew that they didn't come with good intentions, he still had to stand in front of them. This wasn't about being a bodyguard anymore. All these years, Falbert had treated Meng Yao like his own child. He wouldn't allow anyone to hurt her. However, before Falbert could get out of the car, the door of the van in front of him opened. Two people, one old and one young, wearing white training clothes, jumped out of the van. Not good. It's a master from House Pai. I'm afraid they don't have good intentions. Falbert frowned. Li Fu Linny, get out of the car and die. Pai Yang shouted arrogantly at the Bentley. Since the front and back of the Bentley were covered with a film, he couldn't see what was going on inside. Not far away, Xiao Wangba, Xiao Wangdao, and Chen Tian were hiding in another MPV, quietly watching the situation unfold. As expected of a mystic late-phase peak, they're so cool. Chen Tian said enviously as he looked at Pai Yang and Mr. Pai. When will I become like this? Chen Tian was a person who worshipped strength, but it wasn't strange. Every disciple of a noble house wanted to become stronger and stronger. Haha, don't worry, Wu bro. After this is done, I'll have Elder Pai teach you a thing or two. You'll understand it for sure, Wang Ba said. Oh, that's great. Thank you, Wang Ba bro, Chen Tian said happily. Chen Tian said happily. Although his grandpa was a mystic as well, he still had his limitations. If there was another mystic class physical practitioner to teach him, then Chen Tian might be able to benefit from it. You're welcome. Let's watch the show first. Wang Ba waved his hand. Pai Yang arrogantly walked to the front of the Bentley and slapped the hood of the Bentley. Instantly, the hood caved in, and a complete palm print appeared on it. Get out of the car, hurry up and get out, or else I'll smash your car. Pai Yang yelled. No way. This Elder Pai's hands are this strong? That's iron hands. Chen Tian said in admiration. I specialize in iron hands, but I can't make such a neat palm print. This won't do. I must consult him later. Of course, a mystic is different. Wang Dao couldn't help but feel proud of Chen Tian's admiring look. Before, it was always the Xiao family that admired the other noble houses, but now it was the other noble houses that admired the Xiao family. On the other side, Falbert was about to get out of the car when Gooden stopped him. These two old bastards dared to come looking for trouble. I should have killed them with one punch. Don't worry, I'll go down and kill them with one punch. Gooden remembered what Lenny told him, that he couldn't show mercy to his enemies. His body was a bit special, and if he gave his enemies a chance to retaliate, he'd be done for. Falbert heard Gooden's words and remembered that there was a strong person in the car. This was a practitioner that sent two wallet masters to the hospital. If that was the case, what did he have to be afraid of? He'd just wait for Gooden to kill them. Gooden jumped off the car, and without a word, he punched Yang chest. Bang! With a loud sound, Yang, who was acting cool, was sent flying by Gooden, crashing into a telephone pole 10 meters away. Evidently, he wouldn't be able to survive after falling to the ground, the huge hole in his chest clearly visible. Gooden had punched him through with one punch. Mr. Pai was also in a good mood. He was ready to say a few words after Pai Yang was done. He wanted to relieve the depression he had in the hospital, but before he could say anything, he saw a person get out of the Bentley. Without saying a word, the person punched Pai Yang and sent him flying away. Mr. Pai was dumbfounded. What was going on? How did Yang get sent flying? Why was there such a strong practitioner in the Bentley? But when Mr. Pai's eyes landed on Gooden, he was scared out of his wits. Fuck, wasn't this the warrior who called himself Grandpa Gooden? Why was he in the car? Warrior, why are you here? Mr. Pai stuttered. Chapter 1341. In truth, it wasn't that Mr. Pai didn't want to fight, but that he didn't dare. As far as he was concerned, Gooden was a super strong being, and he was already traumatized when he was with the Xiao family. And just now, he killed Pai Yang with one punch. How could he fight someone like that? Therefore, apart from begging for mercy, the only thing he could do was to beg for mercy. There was nothing else he could say. Gooden kicked Mr. Pai to the ground. Speak, who sent you? Is it that old woman, Go Huli? Gooden knew Go Huli from the Xiao family, and the first person he thought of was her as well. Speak, or I'll stomp you to death. Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard two cracking sounds, and pain shot up his legs. Gooden stomped down on Mr. Pai's legs, breaking them. This Mr. Pai wasn't as strong as Pai Yang, but he was more than enough to deal with Gooden. So, Gooden crippled him first, turning him into a cripple. This way, he wouldn't be a threat anymore. Speak, who sent you? Mr. Pai was about to speak when he heard another cracking sound, and pain shot up his arms again. This time, before Mr. Pai could speak, Gooden stomped on his right arms again, breaking them as well. Mr. Pai's eyes rolled back in pain as he screamed, I'll speak, don't kill me. Okay, tell me. Gooden stepped on Mr. Pai's left arm, breaking it as well. The reason for this was simple. He couldn't give Mr. Pai any chance to attack him, so he had to break his arms and legs. That way, it would be safer for him to ask questions. Mr. Pai was in so much pain that he felt wronged. He was about to speak, so why did you keep stepping on him? Did you want to kill me? Can't you let me finish what I'm saying? Not far away, the two brothers from the Xiao family were shocked. Oh my God, what kind of master was this? He actually killed Pai Yangyang with a single punch and instantly crippled Mr. Pai's 4 limbs, not even letting him say a word. Was this a one-sided beating, or was it a question? Chun Tian, on the other hand, was excited. What kind of master was this? Wasn't he too strong? To be able to kill a mystic late-phase peak physical practitioner with 1 punch? What kind of skill was this? This was an absolute master. It was already amazing to see Pai Yangyang make a dent in the car with a slap. But now, this person punched a hole in Pai Yangyang's chest and killed him. It was even more amazing. I'll speak. It's the Xiao family. Xiao family wanted me to kidnap Meng Yao. It's not my fault. I'm just an execution. The Xiao family is the mastermind. Mr. Pai said straightforwardly, without any sense of loyalty. After all, he wasn't from the Xiao family, and he had no obligation to keep the Xiao family secret. He was about to be killed, too. If he spoke up for the Xiao family, wouldn't he be an idiot? Oh, it's the Xiao family after all. Gooden nodded and picked up Mr. Pai, throwing him in the van in front of them, using his body to smash through the metal of the van and into the car, killing him instantly. Gooden clapped his hands. Boss said that if anyone dares touch Meng Yao, I'll kill them. With that, he kicked the van in front of him to the side, clearing the path for the Bentley. Gooden was about to get in when someone ran over, kneeling on the ground with a thud. Master, please take me as your disciple. You really are a master of the physical practitioners. You have to take me as your disciple. It was Wu Qintian. Qintian saw how strong Gooden was, and he couldn't miss this chance. From what Gooden could see, this person in front of him was at least an Earth class, killing a mystic late-phase peak so effortless. What else could he be other than an Earth class? He might even be stronger. Who are you? Gooden looked at the kneeling Qintian, confused. I'm Wu Qintian, the young master of House Wu. Qintian introduced himself. I'm also a physical practitioner, but I'm only golden class early phase. Oh, piss off, I don't have time to take in disciples. I still have to be a bodyguard for my boss. Gooden waved his hand impatiently. Then you can take me in as your follower. I'll be your boss. Qintian rolled his eyes and went for the second best option. Follower? What can you do? Gooden wanted to reject, but thinking about it, having a follower wasn't a bad idea. He'd have someone to run errands for him. I could do anything, like something you don't want to do. I can do it for you, as long as you can teach me a move or two. Qintian didn't forget to state his goal. Oh, I'll think about it then. I'll have to ask my boss about this. If my boss lets me take you in as a follower, then I'll take you in, but if my boss doesn't agree, then you can go play by yourself, Gooden said. Ugh, then who's your boss? Qintian paused. My boss is Lin Yi. You wouldn't know him even if I told you. Gooden said impatiently. All right, you can go back first. I'll tell you the result after I ask. Lin Yi? Qintian paused. Why was it Lin Yi? Wasn't this his rival in love? But then he remembered that Gooden got off from Meng Yao's car, and Lin Yi was Meng Yao's bodyguard. So it made sense that Lin Yi got his follower to protect Meng Yao. But Qintian felt very conflicted. Lin Yi was this guy's boss? Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than him? And if he took Gooden as his boss, then Lin Yi would be his boss. Would there still be any hope for him and Sun Jingyi? Wouldn't that mean he was fighting with his boss for a woman? That was clearly impossible. And if he took Gooden as his boss, then he'd have to give up on Sun Jingyi. With that thought, Qintian started to feel conflicted. But the temptation of increasing his strength made him reluctant to give it up. The opportunity was right in front of him, and it was gone in a blink of an eye. If he missed it, he'd never get another chance. Chapter 1342. Why would a man worry about not having a wife? With that thought, Chanton gritted his teeth and made a decision. I know Linny. Can you tell him that I want to be his follower? It was hard for Chintian to give up his feelings for Jingyi, but since he'd made the decision, he had to give it up. His feelings for Jingyi weren't just for the sake of his family benefits. He really did have feelings for her. It was just that she didn't like him, that was all. Oh, you know my boss? All right, I'll ask him when he comes back. You wait at home. Good made sure that this Chantion didn't have any intentions of attacking him before leaving. All right, boss. I'll wait for the good news at home, Chintian said quickly. Boss, what's your name? What should I call you? I'm Air Gooden, Gooden said and got in the car. All right, Gooden bro, I'll go back first. Chintian nodded and bowed. The Bentley left slowly. The scene here will be taken care of by the Shao family, and Faubert didn't need to worry about the police coming. Chintian looked at the huge hole Gooden made with Mr. Pai and exclaimed, That's amazing. If I could learn even half of it, I'd be amazing. As for what Shao family would think, Chintian didn't care anymore. With such a powerful boss looking after him, he didn't care about Shao family or not. The Pai masters were all dead, so what did Shao family have? In fact, Wangji and Wangba really didn't have time to care about Chintian. 2 Pai masters died just like that, and they were already in a mess. These 2 were idiots, and it wasn't a problem for them to act cool, but for them to deal with emergencies, it was a bit difficult. Shao Wangba took out his phone with trembling hands and dialed his father Shao Ji's number. Hello, Wangba, how's it going? Is it going well? Shao Ji was sitting in the Shao family villa, waiting for good news. He's dead. Dad, he's dead. Shao Wangba stuttered. What do you mean dead? Are Lin, Yi, and Li Fu both dead? Shao Ji laughed and said, Look at you, you haven't seen anything big at all. Isn't it just 2 deaths? What's the big deal? If he's dead, so be it. No, Dad, it's a master from House Pai. House Pai's master is dead. Wangba gasped for breath. What? 2 masters from House Pai are dead? Shao Ji paused and said in disbelief. Wangba, what did you say? Are you talking nonsense? How did the 2 masters from House Pai die? Pai Yangyang is a mystic late-phase peak. How did he die? Dad, they were killed by some master called Air Gooden. Wangba heard Gooden's words, so he knew his name. He wasn't there when Gooden punched the leather master, so he didn't know that this Gooden was the warrior from back then. What? Air Gooden? Shao Ji sucked in a cold breath. Why? Why is he here? Why did he kill the masters from House Pai? He was sitting in Ming Yao's car, and he called himself Lin Yi's follower. Wangba was confused. Dad, who is this Air Gooden? Do you know him? Of course I do. Shao Ji said, Back then, he was the one who sent the 2 masters from House Pai to the hospital. How did he become Lin Yi's follower? Oh my God, it's over. House Shao is finished, completely finished. Shao Ji was stunned after hearing his son's words. There was a warrior like Air Gooden involved in this. No wonder all the masters from House Pai died. How could they not die after meeting this warrior? If they knew this, they wouldn't even bother with House Chu. Wouldn't that be suicide? That's strong. No wonder the 2 masters from House Pai died with 1 punch. Wangba said, Dad, what do we do now? What else can we do? Just wait for House Pai to blame us. Shao Ji was speechless. How the fuck did you find out before? Why didn't you say that this warrior was in Lin Yi's house as well? I don't know him. I didn't know he was this strong. Wangba said, feeling wronged. House Shao was in complete chaos now. Shao Ji told Xiao Ben what Wangba said, and Xiao Ben was dumbfounded as well. House Shao was in big trouble this time. Not only did they offend the warrior, but they didn't know if House Pai would blame the Shao family for this. If House Pai could send someone stronger, then House Shao still had hope, but if not, then House Shao would really be done for. Big brother, we can't hide this even if we wanted to. Why don't we call House Pai and tell them the truth? Xiao Ben sighed. We can only push the blame onto the 2 masters from House Pai to avoid this. That's right. This way, we could say that the masters from House Pai were after House Chu's property and went to kidnap them, but they killed them. Shao Ji nodded. Dead men tell no tales anyway. Even if they suspect us, it's useless. Yes, not only that, we have to pretend to be the victims and say that the two masters dragged Xiao family into this. To prevent House Chu from taking revenge, we have to ask House Pai to send someone stronger to protect us, Xiao Ben continued. Haha, us brothers are really genius. We solve a huge crisis just by talking and laughing. Xiao Ji was very happy. All of a sudden, all the hatred and danger was pushed on a House Pai, and Xiao family became the victims. Our brothers of one mind. We can break metal, Xiao Ben said proudly. It's rare to see brothers like us getting along so well in a noble house. That's right, I'm the head of the house, and I'm a magnanimous person. I don't make decisions on my own. Xiao Ji nodded. With House Xiao covering up the deaths of the two masters from House Pai, this matter passed peacefully, not even causing a ripple. The bodies of the two masters from House Pai were carried to House Xiao's villa, waiting for the people from House Pai to come pick them up and discuss what to do next. On the phone, the people from House Pai heard the news, but didn't say much. They only said that they'd send someone to talk about it. Evidently, House Pai was afraid of Gooden, who could kill a mystic late phase peak with one punch. Chapter 1343. After putting down the phone, Pai Jishan's face was very serious. He didn't say much to Xiao Ji, but he immediately reported the news to his father, the current head of House Pai. His grandfather, the old ancestor of House Pai, was in isolation, and there was no need to alert him. After hearing his son's report, the head of House Pai, Pai Jiaka's face darkened. How could there be an Earth class in the common world? Didn't the council forbid the Earth class from the hidden houses and sects from entering the common world? Without the council's permission, there will be severe punishment. Father, this is what I'm worried about as well. Do you think it's someone from the ancient sects? Jishan said hesitantly. Hard to say. Jiaka's face turned even more cautious. If it's someone from there, then even the council wouldn't dare interfere. Then Jishan asked carefully, before we find out where Hero Gooden came from, let's not act rashly for now. Pai Jiaka waved his hand. Recently, we House Pai have moved into Songshan, and I've done some research on Songshan's area of influence. It said that the hidden house Zhao's bastard, Zhao Qibing, was crippled by Gooden's boss, Lin Yi. He's still in a wheelchair now. You have to know that House Zhao is the same as us. They're a hidden house as well, yet they were able to hide for so long without doing anything. This means that there's something strange about the power behind Lin Yi. Yeah, I didn't think that Pai Yangyang would be so impulsive, making a move on House Chu. Now we're in trouble. Jishan sighed. It's my fault for not reminding them. I've just investigated the power distribution in Songshan, and I didn't have time to tell Xiao family before they made their move. Pai Jiaka said, we've suffered a loss this time. We can't act rashly. We can only observe for now. Right, Father, I heard that Jin Wudi is coming out of seclusion, and he's already gotten permission from the council to enter the common world. And his enemy is this good master's boss, Linny? Jishan said. Why didn't I think of that? This is great. Having an Earth class like Jin Wudi to test Lin Yi's strength isn't bad at all. Hearing this, Pai Jiaka immediately said happily, when the time comes, we'll see what the situation is like and plan our next step. Yes, we can reap the rewards now. Jishan nodded. On the other side, Gooden was sitting in the car like nothing had happened, his eyes wide open. Oh, Brother Gooden, you're so powerful. You killed Itchy Skin with one punch. Yushu praised, but you're still a little lacking compared to Shield Bro, and Shield Bro is more handsome than you. Oh, of course Boss is stronger than me. Gooden nodded matter-of-factly. Yushu didn't find it interesting at all. This guy really knew his place, but it was pointless. Man, he's not as good as Shield Bro. This bodyguard is too weak. Yushu shook her head. Shield, yup, yelled Sad back. Y-Shu. Mean Shield Y-Shu Y-M, he said. Y-Shan Shu can he? Don't worry, she's telling the truth. Gooden nodded. Mingyao didn't know what to say. This guy was too honest. Mingyao didn't know what to say. This guy was too honest. General Wei Wu was sent to a small town by Lu Wangli's men, and Lin Yi went to pick him up personally. He didn't let Lu Wangli's men get close to the tomb. Lin Yi wasn't sure which side the master was from yet, and Lin Yi didn't want to cause any problems. No one was surprised by Lin Yi's action of bringing a dog. Using a dog's sense of smell was a very common method of tomb raiding, but it was too troublesome to train a dog, and modern technology had gradually replaced it over the years. At night, the people in charge of each group appeared in Old Hei's tent. Other than Old Kung, who was killed, everyone else was here. Xiaoka couldn't help but look at Lin Yi a few more times. Lin Yi's words made her feel weird. She felt that Lin Yi looked familiar. Could it be that she'd met Lin Yi before? Otherwise, why would he be so kind as to remind her to be careful? She knew that this was a dangerous trip, but thinking about the orphanage and the high rewards she could get, she decided to stay. Since everyone's here, let's discuss tomorrow's tomb exploration. I don't know who did this today, but I don't want this to happen again tomorrow. I've invited a master to help us. If you're not afraid of death, then go ahead. Old Hei's face was very serious. The first thing he said was a threat. He couldn't be blamed for doing this. He'd lost a master today, and the others didn't lose anything. This pissed Old Hei off, and the worst part was that he still didn't know who did it. He discussed with Old Hao for a long time about who was the most likely culprit, but the conclusion was that other than the dead Old Kong, the others weren't suspicious. In our country, cyborgs and superhumans are controlled by specialized organizations. It's impossible to hire them, even if we wanted to. James shrugged, expressing his innocence. You've seen it yourself. My people use modern weapons to kill people. Indeed, out of everyone's firearms, James was the most advanced. The others used normal pistols and submachine guns from the black market. I'm here to hold the line, not cause trouble. Old House said faintly, there's only the three of us. Lin Yi smiled coldly. Aren't we here to discuss business? Are you done yet? If you're not going to discuss, then I'll leave first. You guys continue to suspect. Thief couple, what's the meaning of this? This is a group action. If you're not guilty, then why are you getting all worked up? Old Hao looked at Lin Yi and smiled coldly. Since you don't believe me, then we'll split up tomorrow. Lin Yi said faintly. That. Old Hei was in a difficult position. Old Hao, male thief, let's talk less. We'll discuss tomorrow's plan. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.